Dual Cultivation audiobook by Kevin, Chapter 176, Inside the Enclosed Cauldron Room 3. So good. What is this feeling? Zhu Menji moaned in pleasure as Su Yang pounded her little garden with his stiff rod, almost like how alchemy masters pound ingredients, but he was pounding flowers instead of herbs, stirring the slimy substances inside her belly. Not even a minute had passed since Su Yang started moving his hips, and she was already on the verge of spraying. And her hands were tightly holding onto the handles on the cauldron below her, as she was afraid of falling off from the intense pounding. Stir my insides even more. An indescribable feeling of pleasure assaulted her body when Su Yang's rod touched the tip of her flower bud, sending a wave of intense thrill through her tender body, making her tremble slightly. Yes, harder. Zhu Menji almost couldn't believe the vulgar words that were coming out of her own mouth. It was as if she was possessed by the lust that has been hiding deep within her body. Su Yang had his large hands occupied with Zhu Menji's beautifully shaped hips while he continuously thrust his rod into her, making loud slurping noises echo within the small cauldron room. And with every stroke, Zhu Menji felt the petals of her rose spreading open little by little. "I'm coming," Zhu Menji suddenly moaned loudly. A few seconds later, her body trembled violently and water sprayed out of her lower body, watering her already soaked rose. Ha! Zhu Menji began panting heavily after the shocking experience, even nearly choking on her own saliva from the initial shock. The upper part of her body was limping off the cauldron, looking like she was ready to pass out at any moment. "Are you finished already? I haven't even fertilized the pill in your body," Su Yang said with a smile. Alchemy masters normally have more stamina than normal cultivators because of how much energy it takes to concoct pills. But Zhu Menji did not seem to have any energy left in her body despite being one of the top alchemy masters in the world, being exhausted after just a few minutes of dual cultivation. This could possibly be one of the shortest dual cultivations Su Yang have had in a long time. I'm sorry, Ji. Give me a few moments," Zhu Menji mumbled. Su Yang did not say anything and lifted her off the cauldron and allowed her to rest properly on the floor. "You lack stamina despite being an alchemy master," he said a little later. I can't help it. This is different from concocting a pill," she refuted in her defense. Su Yang shook his head and turned to face the cauldron. What are you planning?" Zhu Menji asked him after seeing him open the cauldron. "Just a little something," he vaguely responded. Su Yang then retrieved a few herbs in his storage ring and tossed them into the cauldron. "What?" Zhu Menji watched from the floor with wide eyes. Despite spending so many hours with him, this is actually her first time seeing him concoct a pill before her. Su Yang closed the lid once the ingredients were inside the cauldron and waved his hand, causing a large ball of alchemy flames to appear in the room. Although his alchemy flames seemed normal at first glance and had the same color as any common alchemy flame, it was definitely much stronger than Zhu Menji's unique azure flames. When Zhu Menji saw the pure flames, she was instantly mesmerized by its beauty. Within seconds, the alchemy flames consumed the entire cauldron, covering even the handles. However, the blazing alchemy flames subdued after only appearing for a few seconds, and Su Yang removed the lid from the cauldron immediately. Once he removed the lid, black smoke filled the room, and when the formation within the cauldron room sensed the smoke, the formation activated and began absorbing all of the black smoke. What kind of pill is that?" Zhu Menji asked after seeing the pink pill on Su Yang's palm. It resembled the pill of seduction that she made but had a different aroma to it. What's more, the instant her nose picked up on the scent, she could feel the exhausted energy in her body return at a noticeable rate. "Pill of stamina, it works wonders for people like you," he said with a grin. "Just one of these and you'll have enough energy to do anything for the next few days." The next few days. Zhu Menji's jaw dropped upon hearing such words. Even if her stamina will be fine, she will definitely go crazy if she were to experience this much stimulation and pleasure for just a few hours, much less a few days. Don't worry, you don't have to eat the whole thing. Just lick it a few times and the effect will last at most a few hours. Zhu Menji accepted the pill with flickering eyes and did not hesitate to lick the pill. A few licks later, Zhu Menji instantly felt the effects of the pill as her body gushed with energy, feeling almost like she'd been reborn. However, it seems like the pill of stamina affected not just her energy but also her behavior, turning her even more wild during cultivation. Ah, Allah, Allah. Su Yang laid on the ground with a relaxed expression, almost like he was bathing in the sun, while Zhu Menji rode his thick rod like some kind of animal, and her scrumptious butt would continuously slap against Su Yang's thighs, filling the room with clapping sounds. Yes, 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 this is it. With every stroke hitting her flower bud, a burst of intense thrill would shock her tender body, making her tremble non-stop. Love continuously leaked from Zhu Menji's flower, and after a few hours of cultivation without stop, a small puddle had formed underneath them. And since Zhu Menji seemed to be enjoying herself very much with his little brother, Su Yang had decided to hold his yang qi for until she was satisfied. However, Zhu Menji did not seem to want to stop even after many hours of cultivation, making Su Yang wonder if the flawless quality pill of stamina had been too effective on her. Chapter 177, a small taste of his true powers. Ah, ah, ah. Like a wild beast, Zhu Menji moved her hips without restraints. Her lower body was already feeling sore from the constant workout, but she didn't seem to want to stop moving. Her motive seemed to have also changed from wanting a baby to just wanting to cultivate with Su Yang. Although Su Yang sort of regret giving her the pill of stamina, he was not the type of man to stop a woman from wanting to enjoy herself, especially if he's the one who made her into such a state. A couple more minutes later, when Zhu Menji began feeling tired again, she turned to look at the pill of stamina by her side with a resolved gaze, looking like she wanted to consume the entire pill. However, before she could reach for the pill, Su Yang got off the floor and lifted her entire body into the air. He then held onto her hips and began thrusting his rod deep into her flower at a weird pace, and even the way he moved his hips became unique, looking almost like he was doing some sort of dance whilst in rhythm. This is. Zhu Menji suddenly felt the pleasure in her body increase by at least 2 folds, and every corner of her body screamed in delight, causing her flower to overflow with purified water. It was such a profound feeling that even the profound qi in her body became aroused with joy, causing her entire body in and out to burn with passion. Although she didn't know what Su Yang did to her body, she loved it, so much so that hearts began appearing in her eyes. I am going to release my yang qi now, Su Yang suddenly said. After a few more rounds of thrusting, Su Yang finally released his profound yang qi into Zhu Menji's belly. An otherworldly sensation assaulted Zhu Menji's body when the hot yang qi rushed into her body, feeling like her body had suddenly turned into a cauldron, and the pill in her body was near completion. After shooting his yang qi into Zhu Menji, Su Yang laid her on the floor to allow her to rest. He then went to pick up the pill of stamina and placed it into a pill bottle. Your body would not have been able to withstand the entire pill of stamina, he said to her. Zhu Menji did not even have the strength to speak after the cultivation and only nodded her head slightly. And although she did not speak, she looked at him with an apologetic look. Just like the pill of seduction, she had acted without thinking of the consequences. Su Yang went on to fix his robes before helping Zhu Menji. He then sat beside her and said, "You must be wondering what I did near the end, right?" He spoke with a smile. Zhu Menji nodded slightly in response. It's only a technique used specifically for dual cultivation, he said, and continued, it's nothing special, really. Although he said that, the truth was that Zhu Menji had managed to become the first woman in this world to have experienced his dual cultivation techniques. Indeed, every partner he's had since his reincarnation had yet to experience even Su Yang's true power. However, there's a good reason as to why Su Yang only cultivated with them normally, as their cultivation base and mental experience would not be able to handle the sheer intensity of even the tip of Su Yang's true power in bed, and it would without a doubt break their mind. In other words, Su Yang has no choice but to cripple himself and cultivate with them normally. But even with his true prowess in bed sealed, every girl he's cultivated with thus far are more than satisfied with the experience, and one can only imagine what it would feel like to experience all of Su Yang's technique. As for Zhu Menji, because she was under the influence of the pill of stamina that affected not only her body but her mind as well, she was able to handle one of Su Yang's simplest dual cultivation techniques. However, even then, she was only able to withstand a few seconds of his techniques. Dual cultivation. Zhu Menji wondered why someone like Su Yang would know of such a technique. Unless he was someone who does this kind of thing often, why would he want to learn such a technique? You can come back to this room for as long as I remain here, Su Yang suddenly said with a smile. Zhu Menji's eyes widened at his words. Does this mean? She couldn't help but think about the implications of such words. You can rest here until you can move, Su Yang said before leaving the cauldron room to wash the sweat and other substances off his body. Once Su Yang left, Zhu Menji continued to rest inside the cauldron room. When she finally regained enough energy to move, the first thing she did was rub her own belly. Sister Jinjing, you were right. Not only did I find my partner, but I will also be bearing his baby, just like you are bearing your partner's baby. Zhu Menji couldn't wait to see Wu Jinjing's face when she reveals to her the truth. However, despite wanting to travel to the Holy Sword Academy right now to speak with Wu Jinjing, Zhu Menji had more important matters in her mind. I will take advantage of this opportunity and cultivate with him as much as my body and mind can handle before he leaves. Zhu Menji vowed to herself. An hour later, when Zhu Menji had the strength to walk, she went to prepare her body for the next cultivation session. After a few more hours of resting, mainly because her lower body was still sore from before, Zhu Menji returned to Su Yang and requested for his time in the cauldron room. Su Yang obviously agreed and followed Zhu Menji back into the cauldron room. Additionally, Zhu Menji was prepared and brought along with her something comfortable to cultivate on chapter 178, who dares to spread such nonsense. After spending a couple of hours in the cauldron room, Su Yang left to clean himself whilst Zhu Menji rested inside, only to see Zhu Menji standing before him again just a few hours later to repeat the same thing. And this scene would continue for the next few days. Meanwhile, above the Golden Lion Academy, Qiyu analyzed the destruction made to the sect from beyond the clouds. Although she was initially shocked by the scene, when she noticed the lingering profound qi of an ancient realm expert, she realized what had actually happened here and facepalmed. That stupid cat! She couldn't help but shake her head. However, she did not really feel anything towards the Golden Lion Academy despite their disastrous situation that was caused by someone from her group, not even pity. Because although she dislikes Xiao Rong, Qiyu could tell that she is not someone who would do something like this without being provoked, not to mention her own feeling of contempt towards the sect master of this place. She's just a beast at the end of the day, Qiyu sighed. I should let him know about this. Qiyu then flew back to the Four Seasons Academy. However, she took a detour before returning to her living quarters. Inside the Four Seasons Academy sect master's living quarters, Matriarch Zhu sat quietly before a storage ring with a pondering expression. The storage ring contained all of the ingredients required to create the soul divination pill, something she had planned on giving to Su Yang many days ago. But because of selfish reasons, she has been keeping it hidden even up to this point. I have been holding this for far longer than what I initially had in mind any longer, and he will definitely question me. Matriarch Zhu sighed deeply. The only reason she's been delaying their agreement was so her daughter could spend some time with him and maybe learn a thing or two about alchemy from him. But alas, she hasn't heard from her for the last few days now, almost as if she disappeared. What is that girl doing? What part of report to me every day doesn't she understand? Matriarch Zhu sighs again, feeling stuck in a predicament. She wondered if she should wait for a few more days or go ahead and give Su Yang the ingredients so he can finally leave. However, just as Matriarch Zhu stores the storage ring away, a figure invaded the room through the window, quickly alerting Matriarch Zhu. Who dares? Just as Matriarch Zhu activated her profound qi and prepared to confront the intruder, an exceedingly beautiful face that resembled a goddess appeared before her, forcing Matriarch Zhu to halt her movements in shock. I am mortal fairy Su Yue. Matriarch Zhu immediately greeted her with a respectful bow. Indeed, Kityu had reverted back to her original appearance and showed up before Matriarch Zhu, greatly baffling her. What brings immortal fairy Su Yue to this place? Matriarch Zhu did not ask her where she's been, and instead wanted to know why she would show up at her place after disappearing without a trace, as it must be fairly important for her to make such an appearance. I am here for two things. Kyu raised two fingers and spoke in a cold voice. 1. You will not, under any circumstances, mention or even utter my name before that young guest. As a matter of fact, don't even hint my existence before him, or I will make you regret it. Excuse me. Matriarch Zhu was greatly taken aback by her sudden demands and cold attitude, even shocked. By young guest, do you mean the handsome young man currently, too? However, Kyu did not allow her to speak and continued in a cold voice. I am aware that you have been delaying your arrangement so he can stay longer. Although I do not know your motives for doing such a thing, allow me to warn you right now that if you even dare to think of hurting him, then I will make sure the Four Seasons Academy will follow the Golden Lion Academy's footsteps. Matriarch Zhu fell to the floor upon hearing such words and immediately began kowtowing to her. I do not have such intentions, nor do I dare imagine hurting him. I was only hoping that my daughter would learn alchemy from him, and selfishly decided to delay the arrangement. Please have mercy, immortal fairy Su Yue, Matriarch Zhu begged with a pale expression. Kyu turned silent and finally understood the reason for Zhu Menji's appearance in her home from those words. Kyu sighed and returned to speaking in her normal voice. Don't take offense of my approach just now, as I was only trying to scare you a little bit for the truth. Matriarch Zhu looked at her with a dumbfounded gaze, and she sighed in relief a moment later. Don't scare me like that, immortal fairy Su Yue. It's bad for the heart. Kyu only shrugged at her words, saying that it's not her problem. Now that Kyu has returned to how Matriarch Zhu remembers her, she regained some confidence and asked her, if you don't mind me asking, what is your relationship with that young man? Is the rumor being spread around really true, that he's your son? What did you just say? Kyu suddenly frowned while emitting a dangerous aura, one that nearly froze the atmosphere in the room. Matriarch Zhu began sweating buckets when she realized that she just stepped into a trap and triggered something she wasn't supposed to. Who are you calling my son? Kyu approached her with narrowed eyes and an overwhelming pressure surrounding her, making it hard for Matriarch Zhu to even breathe. There's a rumor going around saying that the young guest currently in our sect is your son. Who dares to spread such nonsense? To turn the man she sees as her father and adore as a man into her son, even if it's just a rumor, really angered Keiyu, who is already not in the best of moods right now. The rumor began at the 9 Spring Hall. Matriarch Zhu did not hesitate to throw them under the bus for Keiyu. 9 Spring Hall, huh? Keiyu really wanted to go there right now, but after thinking about it for a moment, she'd only be spreading her name even more by showing up in public after disappearing for so long. I have to keep my identity as immortal fairy Su Yue as far away from him as possible, at least until we leave this place. She thought to herself, completely unaware that her secret had been discovered by Su Yang days ago because of Zhu Menji's innocent rambling. Chapter 179 God of Womanizer. Anyway, since you are already finished with the arrangements, you should know the next steps, right? Keiyu changed the topic. I will give it to him right away, Matriarch Zhu said. Keiyu nodded and no longer had any reasons to stay. But before she left, she said to Matriarch Zhu, "This may be the last time you will ever see me." What do you mean by that? Matriarch Zhu began shaking at the countless meanings behind her words. I will be going back to my homeland soon, she said in a low voice that did not sound confident at all. And before Matriarch Zhu could say anything else, Keiyu disappeared from the windows. Matriarch Zhu stood there in silence, seemingly in disbelief. Immortal fairy Su Yue will no longer appear before us. Keiyu's disappearance signifies many things, but the most important one was that the world's power balance will greatly change without her supervision. And once the news of Keiyu disappearing for good spreads, everybody with power will try to regain the strength that had been suppressed by Keiyu's overwhelming presence. And with the Golden Lion Academy's destruction, it leaves only the Holy Sword Academy and the Four Seasons Academy to deal with balancing out the entire continent. Will they have what it takes to control half of the continent, or will they be overthrown by the countless powerful families that have ulterior motives out there? Matriarch Zhu looked at the storage ring in her hands and no longer thought about the future. Her only worry right now should be her arrangements with Su Yang. However, right before Matriarch Zhu could even leave the building, Sect Elder Deng came knocking on her door with urgency. What is it? Matriarch Zhu asked Elder Deng. Matriarch, I remembered. Elder Deng spoke with a pale expression. Slow down, what do you remember? That young man's name, I remember his name. What? I thought you had said that you never asked him for his name. Matriarch Zhu frowned. Indeed, I didn't ask him. Though I had totally forgotten that he'd told me his name during our initial meeting, mainly because I didn't take him seriously and paid little attention to him, hence my failure. So, what is his name? That is, Elder Deng began sweating. Hurry up and spit it out, Matriarch Zhu raised her voice. His name is Su Yang. What did you just say? Su Yang. When Matriarch Zhu finally learned of his name, she stood up with a shocked face. Is that the reason why immortal fairy Su Yue looked so angry when I called him her son? He was actually her husband. But his age and low cultivation base. It doesn't make any sense. However, at the same time, that would explain Su Yang's mysterious background and heaven-defying abilities. Additionally, if Su Yang really happened to be Keiyu's husband, and his age and cultivation base happens to be fake, then it wouldn't be too shocking for his disguise to fool even someone like Matriarch Zhu. What a shocking reveal, to think that he'd been immortal fairy Su Yue's husband this entire time. Matriarch Zhu immediately started running outside. Where are you going, Matriarch? Elder Deng asked her with a surprised expression. To do what I should have done days ago, she said before disappearing from his sight. What? Elder Deng stood there with a dumbfounded expression. Inside his living quarters, Su Yang left the cauldron room for the 9th time ever since Zhu Menji confessed her love to him. Within these past few days, Su Yang had spent almost all of his time with Zhu Menji inside the cauldron room to cultivate. And after spending all this time cultivating with Zhu Menji, Su Yang has accumulated enough yin qi from her to reach the peak of the earth spirit realm as a qi refiner, and the peak of the true spirit realm as a body refiner. Although his progress as a body refiner had been stagnated at the profound spirit realm, and have been unable to break through to the true spirit realm for some time due to the lack of yin qi, ever since he cultivated with Wu Jinjing, a heavenly spirit realm expert, his bottleneck no longer became an issue for him, allowing him to burst straight into the true spirit realm. If Su Yang were to fight someone with only his body and without any profound qi, he would still be able to defeat even a qi refiner at the earth spirit realm with ease. If he were to fight with his tempered body supported by his profound qi at the earth spirit realm, then even those at the heavenly spirit realm will be no match for him. In other words, unless he has to fight against someone at the sovereign spirit realm, then Su Yang could be considered invincible. However, that is not to say he is hopeless against sovereigns, as he has plenty of tricks hidden in his sleeve. And since there are only a few individuals in this world that have attained the sovereign spirit realm, Su Yang could be considered as one of the strongest individuals in this world right now. Su Yang suddenly stopped walking to look at the figure that has been staring at him ever since he left the cauldron room. That person was obviously Kyu, who'd returned just recently. HMPH, Kyu immediately snorted upon seeing him, and she continued, as expected from the god of womanizer, but you don't have to worry, as I totally did not think for even a moment that you will not touch her. Su Yang looked at her and the cauldron room with a bitter smile. Although I won't say that I didn't expect this, I definitely didn't plan for this to happen. Whatever, Kyu took the situation better than Su Yang had expected. Anyway, there is something you should be more concerned about, Kyu continued a moment later. What is it? Su Yang's expression instantly straightened. That stupid cat. I don't know what happened out there, but she sort of made the 3 ancient academies into the 2 ancient academies. I figured you should know since she is your spirit beast and all. Is that so? Su Yang's expression did not change much even after learning such news. In fact, he looked calmer than before hearing her words, almost as if he didn't care much about Xiao Rong's actions. Chapter 180 Inevitable Departure. You don't seem to be concerned, or more like you don't care at all, said Kyu after seeing his nonchalant expression. Su Yang smiled and said, Xiao Rong is a part of the ghost cat's bloodline. She isn't the type to attack others without being provoked by them first, especially humans, so they probably deserved it. What's more, there's nothing I can do now that it's already happened. That being said, I will still speak with her when she returns. Su Yang had a feeling that Xiao Rong may have caused trouble when she first returned with her disguise reverted and profound qi lingering around her body, so he wasn't too shocked to hear about it actually happening. After their short conversation, somebody started knocking on the doors. Su Yang went to the door to see Matriarch Zhu standing outside with barely any breath left in her. Esteemed guest, Matriarch Zhu began speaking once she calmed down a little. The arrangements are ready. Here are all of the herbs that are required for the soul divination pill. She retrieved the storage ring with the ingredients in it and handed it to Su Yang without wasting any time. Su Yang accepted the storage ring with a smile, and he spoke a moment later after confirming the contents. I was beginning to wonder if you'd forgotten about me, or if you were delaying it on purpose. Matriarch Zhu began sweating and lowered her head to apologize. Please forgive me. I didn't plan on. Su Yang raised his hand and interrupted. There's no need to apologize. If anything, I should be thankful for the delay. Huh? Matriarch Zhu lifted her head with a dumbfounded expression. He was thankful. Why would he thank her for delaying the arrangement? However, Su Yang did not explain anything and continued. Now that our arrangement has been fulfilled, it is time for me to leave. Matriarch Zhu looked at him with wide eyes. He's going to leave just like this. What about concocting the soul divination pill? She'd even anticipated that he would concoct the pill in their place. If you don't mind, you can use the cauldrons here to concoct the pill. I don't mean to be boastful, but the cauldrons in this place are the best you can find in this continent, and you are already here anyway. Matriarch Zhu wanted to see him concoct the soul divination pill even if she had to lower herself. After all, even if she has the recipe for the soul divination pill, if she doesn't know the process to create the pill, it will still take decades of trial and error before she could concoct the soul divination pill. Thank you for the offer, but I do not intend to concoct the soul divination pill, Su Yang said, leaving Matriarch Zhu puzzled. You don't plan on concocting the pill, then why would you? That's not something you should be worried about, Matriarch. Su Yang spoke in a nonchalant voice, and he continued, anyway, we will be leaving as soon as we finish our preparations. But what about my daughter Zhu Menji? I haven't spoken to her for days. Do you have any idea where she might be? Matriarch Zhu asked. Su Yang glanced at the cauldron room with the corner of his eye and responded, you don't have to worry. Your daughter is currently resting in the cauldron room over there. Let me go speak with her. Matriarch Zhu approached the cauldron room but was instantly blocked by Su Yang. What's the matter? I think you should leave her alone for now, as she's currently in the state of enlightenment. Enlightenment? Her? Matriarch Zhu gasped in shock. Enlightenment is something that rarely occurs in the world of cultivation, and more often than not, after one finishes their enlightenment, they will have a whole new and profound understanding for whatever caused the enlightenment. However, Zhu Menji gaining enlightenment is only an excuse created by Su Yang to keep Matriarch Zhu away from Zhu Menji before she recovers from her cultivation. If Matriarch Zhu were to enter the cauldron room right now, she would definitely be terrified for the rest of her life to see her own daughter in her current appearance. I understand. Matriarch Zhu immediately tossed aside the thought of seeing Zhu Menji after hearing Su Yang's words. Matriarch Zhu left a little bit later with a bitter taste in her mouth. Although she deeply regrets not being able to witness the soul divination pill being concocted before her eyes, there was nothing she could do about it. At least that girl managed to achieve enlightenment, she sighed to herself as she returned to her own living quarters. Once Matriarch Zhu disappeared, Su Yang said to Qiyu, prepare to return to the Profound Blossom Sect once Xiao Rong returns. Qiyu nodded, and she looked at the cauldron room. Enlightenment, huh? A few hours later, Xiao Rong returned to Su Yang's side, and coincidentally, Zhu Menji also recovered enough energy to walk at that time. When Zhu Menji saw that Su Yang was finally leaving, tears flowed down her face uncontrollably. Although she'd been preparing herself mentally for his inevitable departure for the last few days, she still couldn't help but become emotional when the time for him to leave finally arrived. Do you really have to go? Zhu Menji asked him with red eyes. Su Yang nodded. Will you return someday? I will try. How long will that take? I don't know. What should the name of our child be? Zhu Menji grew more emotional the longer she spoke with Su Yang, looking like a crybaby after being separated from her parents. As long as I am alive, I will surely return one day, I promise. Su Yang used his hand to wipe the tears off Zhu Menji's beautiful face. I will miss you. Su Yang suddenly embraced Zhu Menji and passionately kissed her, which only made it harder for Zhu Menji to let him go. Zhu Menji closed her eyes and returned the embrace and kiss. A few moments later, Su Yang released his arms first because Zhu Menji was reluctant to let go. In the end, this is a fate that all those who had foolishly fallen in love with Su Yang has to share, hence why many despise Su Yang in the four divine heavens. And while many of his partners were able to accept such an outcome and let him go after some time, some people would try anything to stay with him, even if it's only for a little bit longer. Chapter 181 on the count of 3. After spending some time convincing Zhu Menji to let him go, Su Yang boarded Qiyu's flying ship, and left the holy central continent shortly after. After Su Yang's departure, Zhu Menji went to meet with Matriarch Zhu for the first time in many days. "Why are you crying?" Matriarch Zhu watched Zhu Menji enter the room with a teary face and almost couldn't believe her eyes. The last time Zhu Menji cried like this was during her father's funeral. However, Zhu Menji continued to cry without responding to her. "Come over here." Matriarch Zhu embraced her and began pampering her. After many minutes of crying, Zhu Menji finally calmed down and explained the situation to Matriarch Zhu. However, upon hearing the story, Matriarch Zhu looked at Zhu Menji with a terrified expression, almost like she just witnessed the downfall of heaven. "WWW, what did you just say? Why you will be pregnant with Su Yang's CC child?" Matriarch Zhu nearly fainted on the spot when she learned that her daughter will be carrying immortal fairy Su Yue's husband's child. How will she explain this to immortal fairy Su Yue if she decides to visit her one more time? However, even more questionable is why Su Yang agreed to sow his seed in Zhu Menji when he already has someone like immortal fairy Su Yue. Could it be that he wasn't her husband after all? But even if that was true, it still raises countless other questions. Matriarch Zhu received a huge headache from all of this thinking and needed some time to calm down. "I understand the situation for the most part, but are you fine with all of this?" Matriarch Zhu asked Zhu Menji. "Who knows when he'll return? I have accepted this outcome before I'd even confronted him. Although I won't say that I am completely okay with it, I will definitely be fine." Zhu Menji showed a positive smile that almost blinded Matriarch Zhu. Matriarch Zhu smiled inwardly, thinking to herself how Zhu Menji has matured during these last few days. "Anyway, this is all I have to report. I am going to the Holy Sword Academy now to see Sister Jinjing." Again, Matriarch Zhu sighed. Although she disliked Zhu Menji being so familiar with the Holy Sword Academy, she did not stop her from going regardless. "Don't stay for too long or Patriarch Wu will start complaining again." Matriarch Zhu warned her before she left. At the Holy Sword Academy, Patriarch Wu sat inside his room with his eyes staring at the wall with a dazed expression. "That girl, to think she'd make such a big decision without even coming to me first," he sighed heavily. When Wu Jinjing first revealed to him the situation of how she will be bearing a child in the near future, Patriarch Wu collapsed from shock on the spot. However, what shocked him the most was the name of the man who impregnated her daughter, Su Yang. If he's not going crazy, then immortal fairy Su Yue's husband should also be named Su Yang. Is it all just a big coincidence, or? In addition to the incoming child, Patriarch Wu had another problem in his hands, and that was the future of Wu Jinjing as a swordmaster. If she's truly resolved to have this child, then her training will most definitely come to a halt for at least a few years. Patriarch Wu suddenly started scratching his head while screaming in frustration. "Ah, what a waste of time and talent." And although he wanted to try and convince Wu Jinjing to abandon the thought of having the child, he knew very well that she will not listen to him and might even leave the sect if pressured. The only thing he could do right now is to accept the fact that he will soon become a grandfather. Patriarch Wu stared into the sky and mumbled, "Dear, are you watching this? If you were still alive, how will you be handling all of this? Will you encourage her, or will you stop her?" After thinking for a moment, he shook his head. "Maybe I should just accept all of this and prepare myself to become a grandparent," he said to himself. Standing outside of Wu Jinjing's living quarters, Zhu Menji greeted her best friend with a big smile. "I have returned, Sister Jinjing." "Menji, you have returned earlier than I'd anticipated. Are you really that interested in the topic? What will you do if Matriarch Zhu comes here and drags you back herself this time?" Zhu Menji waved her arms and said in a casual tone, "That won't happen because I got her approval before coming here." "How rare," Wu Jinjing mumbled. "Anyway, come inside." Once they were inside and settled in Wu Jinjing's own room, Zhu Menji began to speak with an excited expression. Listen to this, Sister Jinjing. You will not believe what I am about to tell you. Allow me to take a guess. Wu Jinjing looked up and down Zhu Menji's body and said a moment later, Did you finally find your fated person? Zhu Menji gasped in shock and said, How can you tell? I can sense something different about your aura. It feels more mature than before, Wu Jinjing said with a smile. I can tell because I also went through the same change very recently. As expected from your sharp senses, huh? It's like there's nothing I can hide from you. Well, who's this lucky man that managed to lay his hands on such a talented and beautiful girl? Wu Jinjing teased. Stop teasing me, Zhu Menji blushed. And compared to him, my talent is worth only as much as an empty fart. Wu Jinjing covered her mouth in surprise. For someone as talented and accomplished as you in the Tao of alchemy to say such a thing. But I know how that feels, as I have also experienced a similar feeling when meeting my man. Anyway, stop avoiding the question and answer me already. Who is this lucky man? Wu Jinjing urged. I will tell you if you tell me first. Zhu Menji did not budge for her at all. Fine, then how about this? We will both say the name of our partner at the same time. Wu Jinjing suddenly suggested. I accept. Good. Then on the count of 3, 1, 2, both Wu Jinjing and Zhu Menji simultaneously opened their mouth on the third count. His name is Su Yang. Su Yang is his name. Eh? What? Their expressions instantly froze, and they stared at each other with a dazed face, their eyes and mouth wide open from shock. Chapter 182. More than just friends. After a long moment of awkward silence, Zhu Menji spoke in a stiff voice. So your partner is also named Su Yang. What a coincidence. Zhu Menji was clearly in denial, and did not want to believe that she had cultivated with the same man that impregnated Wu Jinjing, her best friend. However, Wu Jinjing shook her head and said, Don't be silly. I can tell that even you don't believe in those words. Although Wu Jinjing also did not want to admit that she had cultivated with the same man that cultivated with Zhu Menji, there are things in this world that are better off acknowledged than ignored. What should we do now? Zhu Menji asked in a worried tone. We will be bearing a child from the same man, you know. What she worried the most right now is how their relationship will end up after this incident. What should we do now, Wu Jinjing pondered. Normally, when two women unknowingly bear the child from the same man, the man will pick one as his official wife while the other will become his concubine. However, in this situation, where the man is not present, we will have to decide for ourselves what we want to do. Wu Jinjing looked at Zhu Menji with a serious face and asked, What do you want to happen, Menji? After a moment of pondering, Zhu Menji spoke. I want us to remain the way we have always been, best friends. What about you, Sister Jinjing? Wu Jinjing shook her head and replied, That's impossible. I don't think I can see you the same way as before anymore. What? Zhu Menji's eyes widened with shock upon hearing her words. Wu Jinjing continued before tears began to fall for Zhu Menji. We both love the same man and have also given our innocence to him, and we will even bear a child from that very man in the future. If you ask me, we are already past the point of being just friends. You don't mean? Zhu Menji remained shocked, but for a different reason. That's right, the two of us are now a family, real sisters. Sister Jinjing. Zhu Menji began crying regardless and went to embrace Wu Jinjing. Ha! Wu Jinjing sighed a moment later as Zhu Menji hugged her tightly. I knew that he was someone that I could not keep to myself, but to think that even my best friend would have a taste of him, how unfortunate. What do you mean by that? Zhu Menji stopped hugging her and looked at her with wide eyes. Wu Jinjing chuckled and said, It means I can no longer brag to you about the otherworldly experience I had with him since you also had a taste of it. Zhu Menji began blushing when she brought up such a topic, and she definitely had more than just a taste. How did it go with you? Did you also feel like you were possessed by some sex demon during your cultivation with him? Wu Jinjing began teasing her. Zhu Menji tried to cover the shame on her face when she recalled the time she'd spent with him inside the cauldron room. Thinking back to that time, she was definitely more than just possessed. If anything, she had turned into a wild beast. Stop teasing me, Sister Jinjing, Zhu Menji pouted. Ha ha ha, knowing you, Menji, you probably didn't even last for a few minutes. Wu Jinjing burst out laughing. However, the next words that came out of Zhu Menji choked Wu Jinjing out of her laughing. HMPH. Although I wasn't used to the feeling at first, after spending many days with him, I can say with confidence that I can last half a day without rest. Trying to sound tough, Zhu Menji kept the part about the pill of stamina out on purpose. Wu Jinjing stared at her with wide eyes and a loose jaw. Why, you what? You spent a few days with him. Zhu Menji nodded and explained to her how Su Yang had lived in the Four Seasons Academy for a few days due to some business he had there. How much time did you get to cultivate with him? Wu Jinjing asked, her head lowered and a trembling voice. Zhu Menji shrugged her shoulders and said, I was too engrossed to keep track of the time, but if I have to make a guess, at least 24 hours, I think. I wished it had lasted longer, she sighed a moment later. Hearing that Zhu Menji managed to have Su Yang all to herself for over 24 hours while she had a measly hour or so, Wu Jinjing grabbed Zhu Menji by the arms and stared at her with jealousy in her gaze. Sister Jinjing. Zhu Menji became fearful of her intensive stares. You stinky little girl. I only cultivated with him for a little bit over an hour before he had to leave. The mature feeling Wu Jinjing emitted could not be felt at this moment, as she was feeling too much envy towards Zhu Menji. Zhu Menji was dumbfounded by her words. Do you realize how lucky you were to have spent so much time with him? And for you to complain about that, I should be the one complaining right now. Is that so? Zhu Menji no longer felt so bad about the time she spent with him and even pitied Wu Jinjing. After all, how could anyone be satisfied after only an hour? Sometime later, Zhu Menji suddenly asked Wu Jinjing, Sister Jinjing, although this may sound weird now with Su Yang gone, how should I go about satisfying myself? I cannot imagine going to another man besides Su Yang, but without him, this desire for pleasure he awakened inside me will only grow stronger. Wu Jinjing pondered her question for a moment, as she has been trying to figure out the same question for the last few days. I have heard that in households where there are too many concubines and the man cannot keep up with all of them, the concubines will normally use each other to satisfy their own desires. Wu Jinjing spoke in a weird voice. Why, you don't mean? Zhu Menji stared at her with wide eyes filled with shock. Wu Jinjing looked at her and blushed. If you don't mind, we can give it a try. Zhu Menji's jaw dropped to the ground from the unexpected answer to her problem. Chapter 183 Licking Each Other contains Yuri's sister Jinjing. Are you serious? Zhu Menji wanted to confirm whether she was actually serious or just teasing her like always. I won't joke about something like this. Wu Jinjing quickly responded with her face flushed red. The room quickly turned silent after that. A few moments later, Zhu Menji spoke in a bashful voice. Then. If Sister Jinjing doesn't mind doing it with someone like me, I guess I can give it a try. Although it's not rare to the point of being unheard of, women satisfying their own desire with another woman is definitely something of an uncommon practice. And while the entire world does not scorn those who wish to indulge in their sexual fantasies with the same gender, there are definitely people out there who dislike such practices, as they believe that by doing so the individuals are committing blasphemy towards heaven. But lucky for both Zhu Menji and Wu Jinjing, neither of them happen to be one of these people that reject this uncommon idea. If anything, after meeting Su Yang, they have become more open-minded to many things, especially when it comes to cultivation. Are you sure? You don't have to agree to my weird ideas if you don't really want to. Don't worry, Sister Jinjing. If you think your idea is weird, then you should see what I had in mind when I was trying to get Su Yang's attention. Is that so? Wu Jinjing couldn't help but smile at her words. Then, do you want to try it now? She then asked. And now, like right now. Zhu Menji looked stumped, as she didn't expect it to happen so soon. Wu Jinjing nodded and continued. My body has been in constant frustration lately, and I would really appreciate it if you could help me right now. She spoke in a bashful tone. After staring at her in silence for a few moments, Zhu Menji nodded her head slightly, agreeing to her request. A few minutes later, once they prepared themselves, Zhu Menji and Wu Jinjing undressed in front of each other and sat on the bed. Because they were both females, neither of them felt as embarrassed as when they showed their body to Su Yang, though the nervousness in their hearts seemed to be higher than when they were with Su Yang, as they are only moments away from embracing each other in a way neither of them could have imagined. Zhu Menji became speechless when she saw Wu Jinjing's overly stuffed steamed buns for the first time, realizing that the disparity between their sex appeal as a woman was actually greater than she'd initially thought. And when Wu Jinjing noticed her envious stares, she chuckled and said in a teasing voice, "Are you jealous? Who's feeling jealous?" Zhu Menji suddenly grabbed Wu Jinjing's steamed buns and said, causing them to jiggle. Wu Jinjing did not expect Zhu Menji to make the first move and accidentally released a surprised moan. "Oh, sorry, did it hurt?" Zhu Menji quickly released her hands. Wu Jinjing shook her head and said, "Don't worry, I was only surprised by it." She then laid on the bed and continued, "Go on, continue what you were doing." Zhu Menji did a swallowing motion and reached for Wu Jinjing's steamed buns again. This time she did not use as much strength and slowly massaged them with her fingers, almost like she was kneading dough. She tried to imitate Su Yang's hand movements from when he massaged her, but alas, she quickly realized how futile her efforts were and returned to massaging Wu Jinjing normally. Wu Jinjing was easily aroused and began moaning while breathing softly. A few moments later, when the pleasure in Wu Jinjing's body reached a certain point, she started reaching for her wet flowers with her own hands. Zhu Menji almost couldn't believe her eyes when Wu Jinjing began masturbating while she massaged her breasts. And when she saw Wu Jinjing's erotic expression, her body also became aroused, and with her other hand, she also started masturbating. And thus, two heavenly beauties began pleasuring themselves beside each other in the same room. A few minutes later, when Wu Jinjing could no longer feel satisfaction from masturbating, she said to Zhu Menji, "Something isn't right here. This isn't any different from cultivating alone." "Then what are we supposed to do?" After some thinking, Wu Jinjing said while pointing at the bed, "Come lie down here." Zhu Menji did not ask any questions and followed her instructions. Once Zhu Menji had her back on the bed, Wu Jinjing gently laid herself on top of Zhu Menji with her head facing Zhu Menji's lower entrance, so that they were facing each other's nether region. What are you planning to do in this position?" Zhu Menji asked with Wu Jinjing's pink flower in the open right above her face. "You will know in a moment." As she said those words, Wu Jinjing lowered her head until she was right between Zhu Menji's thighs and almost touching her wet flower with her lips. Zhu Menji realized what she was about to do and cried loudly, Don't tell me you are Wu Jinjing ignored her and started caressing her flower petals with her own tongue. Sister Jinjing. Zhu Menji nearly sprayed from the sudden contact. What a cute reaction. Wu Jinjing thought to herself and continued licking, causing Zhu Menji's tender body to tremble. Yes, Zhu Menji quickly engrossed herself with the pleasure and began moving her hips, treating Wu Jinjing's tongue as though it was Su Yang's rod, even imaging it inside her head. A few minutes later, Wu Jinjing stopped licking and said, "Menji, it isn't fair that only you are enjoying yourself here. Hurry up and do the same to me." I am sorry." After apologizing to her, Zhu Menji pulled Wu Jinjing's flower towards her face and also started licking her. NNNG. Wu Jinjing's body twitched from feeling Zhu Menji's tongue, and the sexual frustration in her body started to disappear slowly. Chapter 184, leaving the holy central continent. End of vol. 4. While Wu Jinjing and Zhu Menji were busy with each other, the Golden Lion Academy had just begun rebuilding their place after Xiao Rong nearly destroyed their 1,000 years of history. However, the damage done to their sect turned out to be much more devastating than Patriarch Gold had anticipated, as the sect's treasury was burned to the ground alongside the majority of the sect's resources that was inside the building. And without the majority of their resources, the Golden Lion Academy is not capable of recovery by themselves, pushing Patriarch Gold into a corner. Fuck, fuck, fuck. Inside his own room, Patriarch Gold released his fury on the surrounding furniture, throwing them around the room. This is all that silver-haired girl's fault. If she didn't snoop around suspiciously in my sect, none of this would have happened. Patriarch Gold placed all of the blame on Xiao Rong, ignoring his own actions. After destroying a few more furniture, Patriarch Gold finally stopped his rampage and turned to look at the veiled figure that has been silently standing at the corner of the room. The veiled figure, upon seeing Patriarch Gold finally pay attention to him, spoke in a muffled voice. If Senior Gold is in need of resources, we, the Moonlight Blades, can assist you in your problem. Hearing the veiled figure's words, Patriarch Gold coldly snorted. How many more times do I have to kill you people before you finally understand my answer? I refuse whatever you have to offer. However, the veiled figure remained in the room and continued to speak. If you help us in destroying the Zai family, we will leave for you all of their wealth that is guaranteed to be enough to restore this sect and more. What's more, you can even take their position and rule over the entire eastern continent. Patriarch Gold did not immediately respond and held a pondering expression on his face. These people that called themselves Moonlight Blades appeared out of the blue one day before him 2 months ago, and have been requesting for his help to destroy this Zai family since then. At first, Patriarch Gold would ignore them and even kill every messenger sent by them, but as time passed, his interest in their goal grew stronger. And now that his sect is at the brink of destruction, their offer suddenly became extremely pleasing to his eyes. However, he did not instantly agree to help them, as he did not want them to see him as some pushover. After a moment of silence, the veiled figure continued to speak. Our Moonlight Blades only want the princess of the Zai family. As for everything else, Senior Gold can decide what to do with them. What is it about this princess that is so important to you guys? My answer will depend on your response, said Patriarch Gold a moment later. The leader wishes to obtain her heavenly constitution, the 100 Poisons body. The veiled figure did not try to hide that fact from him, because the leader himself ordered him to do so, as the Moonlight Blades greatly require his help to achieve their goal. A heavenly constitution, huh? Patriarch Gold licked his lips inwardly. Heavenly constitutions are extremely rare even within the Holy Continent, so even powerful individuals like Patriarch Gold greatly desire them. If I recall correctly, you guys can completely bypass the Jade Sea and come to the Holy Central Continent because of some spiritual treasure, but it only works one way. Is that correct? That is correct, the veiled figure confirmed. But in order for us to cross the Jade Sea and arrive there, it will take at least half a year. We will wait for Senior Gold's arrival as long as you agree to help us, said the figure. Patriarch Gold turned silent again. After thinking for a few more minutes, Patriarch Gold grinned and said, "Tell your leader that I will be seeing him as soon as possible." The veiled figure nodded and quickly disappeared into the shadow, leaving Patriarch Gold by himself. Ha ha ha, you foolish people, Patriarch Gold laughed inwardly. Did you guys even think any of this through? Why should I listen to some nobody from a place as inferior as the Eastern continent, much less share my resources? He silently looked forward to obtaining the 100-poison body for himself, feeling so confident in his own abilities that he could only imagine a smooth sailing to occur when he arrives. Somewhere above the Jade Sea, Kyu looked at the holy central continent behind her with a relieved smile. I managed to keep my secret safe from him, she cheered inwardly. Now she no longer has to worry about him finding out her identity as immortal fairy Su Yue and possibly dying from embarrassment. You seem joyful today, Su Yang suddenly said to her with a mysterious smile on his face. Did something positive happen recently? Maybe, maybe not, who knows? Kyu responded in a cheeky tone. Su Yang continued to smile mysteriously. You know, I learned a few things during my short stay at that place, and that made this entire trip more than worth it. Ho, you actually learned something from that place. What did you learn? Kyu noticed that he was acting slightly odd, but she was in too good of a mood to care about something so insignificant and dusted it off her shoulders. It's nothing of significance, as it's only some slightly interesting stories. Really? Why don't you share them with me? Kyu spoke without thinking. Are you sure? You might not find any entertainment in these stories. Su Yang casually warned her. It's just some stories, right? What's there to be sure about? At this point, the cheeky expression on Kyu's face turned into one that was filled with doubt, as she was beginning to feel uncomfortable in her heart from the mysterious aura that surrounded Su Yang. As for Su Yang, the mysterious smile on his face only grew bigger and bigger. He simply couldn't wait to see the expressions Kyu will be making once he starts talking about some girl named Su Yue. Chapter 185, so you knew all along. Stop dawdling around and tell me already. Kyu said with a frown after Su Yang kept staring at her with a mysterious smile on his face. Although she couldn't guess what he had in mind, her heart was filled with an ominous feeling, and her hands were squeezed into fists. Once upon a time, a young female cultivator fell in love with an older cultivator. Su Yang began telling her a story, and Kyu became silent. The female cultivator followed him as a traveling companion in order to seduce him, following him from city to city, continent to continent, even from stars to stars. This female cultivator had followed the man for dozens of years. However, despite spending so long with him, she never managed to seduce him. Why do you think such a thing happened? Su Yang looked at Kyu and asked. How should I know? Maybe she just sucks at it, or she has a really unattractive appearance. Kyu admired this female cultivator's determination inwardly despite her rude words. Su Yang smiled and said, the female cultivator was no doubt a beauty, even a top beauty. He then continued, it's simple, really. The female cultivator believed that because of her beautiful appearance, all she needed was to stay beside the man to seduce him, and because of her mindset, she never shared with the man her feelings for him. Kyu was speechless. That was it. However, after thinking about the story for a few more moments, Kyu came to a realization that her previous situation was near identical to the female cultivator's situation in the story. Because she was confident in her peerless appearance, it was one of the reasons why Kyu didn't bother to share with Su Yang her feelings and only silently followed him around, hoping that he'd eventually fall for her. Kyu began sweating underneath her robes. Is Su Yang trying to tell her something with this story? If she didn't express her feelings to him at the Four Seasons Academy, would she have also ended up like that female cultivator in the story, traveling with Su Yang for hundreds of years without having her feelings realized because of her own arrogance? Kyu shuddered at the thought. However, Su Yang continued, here's another story. A renowned couple traveled together, husband and wife. They went around the world in search of something. One day, however, someone asked the husband what he really thought of his wife, and when the husband heard the question, he only expressed confusion and bewilderment. He then replied with a question of his own, wife, What are you talking about? I don't have a wife. When Kyu first listened to this story, she didn't think much of it because the first story had lowered her guard. Why do you think the husband said that he had no wife when the entire world recognized the two as husband and wife? Su Yang then asked her. Because he has amnesia and forgot that he had a wife. Kyu casually responded with a doubting tone. Su Yang could tell that Kyu wasn't aware of his intentions and chuckled. That's a reasonable guess, but that isn't correct. Go ahead, give it another guess. Kyu frowned and began pondering, but she wasn't pondering about the story. Instead, she was trying to figure out why Su Yang found these stories to be even slightly interesting, as she couldn't see him as someone to find joy in these stories that are seemingly meant for children. Wait a second. Kyu's eyes suddenly widened, almost like she just received enlightenment, and her body began to tremble. If the first story resembled her situation before, then this second story could possibly also be meant for her. Kyu forcefully swallowed and spoke in a shaky voice. Because their relationship as husband and wife was all made up by the wife. By this point, the smile on Su Yang's smile turned into a large grin and he spoke in a mysterious voice. Oh, that's quite an interesting reasoning. Why do you think the wife did such a thing? Seeing his expression, Kyu realized that he was testing her and did not immediately reply. She remained silent with her head slightly lowered. Su Yang did not rush her and patiently waited for her. However, the silence only made Kyu feel even worse. After a few more moments of silence, Kyu slowly opened her mouth. Because the wife was lonely and really wanted her dreams to become a reality. Although Kyu's head was lowered, Su Yang could tell that she had an expression that wanted to cry. He sighed inwardly, wondering if his teasing had gone too far. Why are you crying? It's just a story. Su Yang casually said, sounding innocent. Huh? Kyu looked up to stare at him with a dumbfounded gaze. He doesn't know, she wondered inwardly. Kyu was sure that Su Yang had somehow found out her secret identity as Su Yue, hence why he was telling her such a story, but it seems like she was just too paranoid. However, just as Su Yang was prepared to tell Kyu the truth, Xiao Rong, who had been silently following them from behind, opened her mouth and said, Master, who is this Su Yue you keep thinking about? Both Kyu and Su Yang looked at her with wide eyes. What are you talking about? Su Yang asked her. But before Xiao Rong could even answer him, Su Yang remembered that Xiao Rong, as his spiritual beast, could hear his thoughts if he's not careful, as that's how many people communicate their thoughts with their spiritual beasts. And Xiao Rong, being at the ancient realm and also a beast that specializes in mental abilities, her capability to read his mind is far stronger than any average beast. Hearing his question, Xiao Rong looked at him with a puzzled expression. She obviously heard it from him. Or to be precise, inside his head. Su Yang slowly turned his head to look at Kyu, and sure enough she was staring at him with puffed cheeks and a frustrated expression. Her face flushed red, and there were even tears in her eyes. So you knew all along, she cried out loud. Chapter 186 Aliases. How long have you known about it for? Kyu asked him with a trembling voice, her face flushed red from embarrassment. She couldn't imagine how Su Yang could have learned about her secret. They were together basically the entire time, so how did he manage to find out without her being aware? Then she remembered Zhu Menji and how she'd left Su Yang alone with her for a few days, and she immediately pointed to her as the culprit. It must have been her, she began cursing Zhu Menji inwardly. Just a few days ago, Su Yang said with a smile. Although he didn't plan to expose her in such a fashion, he still achieved what he had wanted. Su Yue, huh? It has a nice ring to it, don't you think so too? Su Yang laughed out loud, causing Kyu to cover her face with both of her hands to hide her embarrassment. Shut up. I was very young and foolish back then. And you were supposed to be dead. It is only something akin to a memorial, okay? Kyu began flustering with excuses coming out of her mouth nonstop. Xiao Rong watched their conversation with a confused expression. Although she's learned how to speak and read, her comprehension when it comes to human interaction is still somewhat lacking. What is there to be embarrassed about? It's just an alias. Su Yang shook his head, feeling that Kyu was worrying about it too much. And he continued, I happen to have a few aliases in the four divine heavens, too. What's more, even someone as isolated as you should have heard of at least one of them before. Upon hearing his words, Kyu no longer covered her face and instead looked at him with her interest piqued. She wondered what kind of alias someone like Su Yang would possibly have. Tell me, she suddenly said. Huh, tell me one of your aliases and I'll consider this as fair trade, she then said. Su Yang shook his head again and said, Since when are we trading aliases? It's not my fault that you didn't do a good job hiding your own alias. Kyu was quite displeased that she wouldn't be able to learn even a single of his alias, but she also couldn't refute his words. After all, it was entirely her fault that she created such an alias in the first place without a care in the world. If anything, she should be happy that Su Yang didn't use her alias, Su Yue, as leverage to tease her until she really died from embarrassment and only teased a few tears out of her. Anyway, when did that stupid cat learn to speak so clearly? Kyu looked at Xiao Rong with a frown on her face, her attitude towards her seemingly worse than before. Xiao Rong also frowned upon being called stupid. Although she didn't really understand her before, after learning the human language, Xiao Rong finally understood that Kyu had been cursing her this entire time. Who are you calling a stupid cat, you ugly girl? Xiao Rong unexpectedly clapped back at Kyu, who was shocked by her sudden cursing. You ugly. Kyu almost couldn't believe her ears. This is the first time she's ever heard someone dared to call her ugly before. Why, you are just a cat. Shut up and act like one. HMPH. Xiao Rong snorted and waved her arms, causing the flying boat to shake viciously, almost like they were suddenly in the middle of the ocean and riding powerful currents. What are you doing? Are you trying to destroy my flying treasure? Kyu exclaimed loudly, her voice filled with panic. Because Xiao Rong's cultivation base far exceeded her own, Kyu's control over the flying treasure became unstable. Su Yang sighed at these two girls. They make him think of fire and water, two different existences that will never cooperate with each other unless some sort of miracle happens. Xiao Rong, stop shaking the boat. It's also making me feel uncomfortable, he said to her. Although reluctant, Xiao Rong stopped messing with Kyu and returned to minding her own business. Kyu glared at Xiao Rong with a displeased expression. No matter how much she wanted to ignore Xiao Rong, there's just something about Xiao Rong that made her feel unpleasant. Perhaps it was because of Xiao Rong's overwhelming cultivation base that made her feel uneasy. Or maybe she's just unfamiliar with exotic beasts such as Xiao Rong. Hell, she could simply be jealous of her relationship as Su Yang's spiritual beast, since most spiritual beasts stay with their masters until either one of them perishes. Either way, she simply can't help but dislike her. You are not entirely innocent either, Kyu. Su Yang switched his attention to her. HMPH, it's that cat's fault for calling me ugly, she coldly snorted. What are you, a child? Su Yang shook his head inwardly. It seems like no matter how much she's matured, there would always be a part of her that will remain childish. After her little quarrel with Xiao Rong, Kyu no longer felt as embarrassed from having her alias revealed to Su Yang. At the end of the day, it was only an alias and nothing more. However, Su Yang suddenly said to Kyu, about your alias, if you really want to, you can continue using it even in the future. His words caught her off guard and Kyu stared at him with wide eyes that were filled with shock and bewilderment. What did you just say? Say it one more time for me, please, she asked him, just in case it was just her imagination. However, Su Yang did not listen to her request and remained silent with a smile on his face. He's still teasing me, Yu cried inwardly. And for the remainder of their travel before returning to the Profound Blossom Sect, Yu would try to make Su Yang repeat his words. But alas, Su Yang had closed his eyes and pretended that he couldn't hear her, until they finally reached their destination. Chapter 187 Regional Tournament. Su Yang and his group finally returned to the Profound Blossom Sect after spending a little over an hour above the Jade Sea. However, before Su Yang could even enter his living quarter that is located in the outer court despite being an inner court disciple, he could see a figure standing in front of his door, looking like she had been standing there for many days. Matriarch, Su Yang called out to her. Liu Lanjai, the sect master of the Profound Blossom Sect, immediately turned to look at the approaching Su Yang. Her face expressed anger upon seeing Su Yang, but there was also a hint of relief within her gaze, seemingly happy to see him alive. Su Yang, where did you go for the past 2 weeks? She immediately questioned him. However, Su Yang acted like he was confused and said, Where? I thought that I had signed out with the sect elder before leaving, even mentioning that I will be on a mission. Liu Lanjai frowned and said loudly, Mission my ass. Don't think that you can hide your little adventure to the northern region from me just because you said otherwise. Su Yang raised an eyebrow in surprise. How did she find out? He was unaware that the Su family had contacted her and complained about letting him return to the northern region despite their agreement. So you found out, huh? Su Yang remained calm and said, But it's just the northern region, yet you make it sound as if going there is prohibited. Why is that? Liu Lanjai did not expect him to question her and became speechless for a moment. Because of her agreement with the Su family, she cannot, under any circumstances, tell him the truth, hence why his question had easily stumped her. What's more, because the Su family purposefully left out some information when complaining to her, Liu Lanjai is still unaware that Su Yang had already returned to the Su family, only aware that he'd returned to the northern region for whatever reason. The disciples of the Profound Blossom Sect are required to get approval from the sect master before they are allowed to travel over a certain distance limit. And you not only surpassed that limit, but you also went to a different region entirely. Even if you are an inner court disciple, you will be punished for breaking the sect rules. Liu Lanjai finally found an excuse to tell him. Is that so? I understand. Su Yang casually accepted his fate. I will accept whatever punishment you have in mind for me, but until then I will be resting. Wait, I am not finished with you. Liu Lanjai stopped him before he could enter his living quarters. What is it this time? Su Yang sighed. Perhaps because somewhere in her heart she respects Su Yang deeply for his divine techniques, or maybe it's simply because she got used to it. But despite Su Yang's nonchalant attitude towards her, the sect master, Liu Lanjai, does not show any reaction, much less express anger. The regional tournament, there's only half a year before our Profound Blossom Sect participates in this event, and I am here to tell you that you will be participating in this event alongside a few others. Liu Lanjai mentioned the regional tournament that was at the horizon. Why did you choose someone like me? And why should I do something that bothersome? Su Yang said to her despite already having an interest in the event ever since Elder Wu told him about it, especially when that girl with the 100 poisons body will be present. You will participate because it's your responsibility as a disciple of this sect to represent the sect when needed, and because I, the sect master, is ordering you to participate. Is this a good enough reason? Liu Lanjai spoke with a serious face, telling him that she is taking this seriously. As for why I decided to choose someone like you, it's simply because I think that you have what it takes to become a core disciple, and one of the requirements before becoming a core disciple is to partake in the regional tournament. I will tell you the truth, even if you lose badly during the tournament. I want you to become a core disciple afterward, as just your techniques alone qualify you to become one. After all, the Profound Blossom Sect is a unique place that is unlike any other sect, valuing one's sensual techniques much more than one's cultivation base. Su Yang smiled inwardly after hearing her reason for choosing him to partake in this regional tournament. Core disciple. If he really wanted to, he could easily become the patriarch of this place with his peak Earth spirit realm cultivation base, much less a mere core disciple. However, because his current cultivation base vastly surpasses even that of Liu Lanjai's cultivation, she remains oblivious to his real strength even now. Half a year, huh? Su Yang smiled and continued. You can expect to see me there, but if you are expecting me to lose, then you are in for a shocking experience. Liu Lanjai did not bother him anymore after hearing that he would participate in the regional tournament. However, there was one more thing she needed to talk about before letting him go. Who are these two ladies with you? She pointed to the disguised Qiyu and Xiao Rong that had been following behind him like they were his servants with a weird expression on her face. They are my servants, Su Yang casually made up an excuse. What, don't tell me that I am not allowed to have servants too. No. You are allowed to have up to 3 servants as an inner court disciple. Just make sure that you register their names at the administration so the sect knows of their existence, and to prevent unnecessary misunderstandings, Liu Lanjai said to him before finally allowing him to go. They are his servants, huh? How envious. Liu Lanjai thought to herself as she watched Qiyu and Xiao Rong follow Su Yang into the house, completely misunderstanding their situation. But such a misunderstanding is not uncommon in a place like the Profound Blossom Sect, as there are plenty of disciples in this place that uses servants as training partners for Dual Cultivation Chapter 188 to see an old friend once he returned to his room. Su Yang said to the 2 girls, I will be leaving for a bit to deal with some business. You can wait here in the meantime. You are leaving already. What happened to resting? Qiyu asked. I have rested enough during my stay at the Four Seasons Academy, he said. Where are you going? To see an old friend, he responded with a smile. A friend? Qiyu raised an eyebrow in surprise. Since when did Su Yang become the type to have friends? Then she came to the realization that the only people Su Yang would consider as his friends are all females. Is that so? Then I hope you have fun with your friend, she said with a sarcastic voice. Su Yang smiled bitterly and said, You are clearly misunderstanding something here. However, seeing Qiyu close her eyes to ignore him, Su Yang did not try to convince her and turned to look at Xiao Rong instead. Xiao Rong, you can do whatever you want until I return, he said to her. Xiao Rong nodded and immediately disappeared from the room. Oh, right. Qiyu, let me borrow your flying treasure. Just the wooden boat is good enough, he said to her. Qiyu did not even bother to open her eyes and threw her storage ring at Su Yang, telling him to find it himself. Su Yang did not mind her behavior and retrieved the wooden boat before tossing the ring back to her. I shouldn't be gone for long, he said before leaving. The first thing he did after he left was to register Qiyu and Xiao Rong as his servants to the administrations. This way, they won't be considered as suspicious individuals by the sect when he is not around. After registering their names, Su Yang went to accept another mission. However, since he only accepted the last mission as an excuse to leave the sect, Su Yang must forfeit that mission and consider it as a failed mission. And because the mission happened to be extremely easy, the sect elder looked at Su Yang with an odd expression on his face after learning that he'd failed such an easy mission. Why? You failed this mission. Although it takes some time to complete, this mission is by no means difficult. And you are even an inner court disciple. Su Yang merely shrugged his shoulders and said, Things happen. The sect elder shook his head inwardly and accepted his other mission. Once that was all done, Su Yang left the Profound Blossom Sect and used the flying boat he got from Ku to soar in the sky. Inside her own room, Liu Lanjai pondered about how to punish Su Yang for breaking the sect rules. That being said, the real reason she wanted to punish Su Yang was so she could get back at him because she was yelled at by the Su family for her negligence. That damn Su family. In the first place, how am I supposed to do my duties as the sect master if I have to keep watch over that little brat at every second? That's unreasonable. Just because you supply my sect with some resources doesn't mean you can push me around. If the Su family wasn't one of the 4 great families with prowess far greater than her Profound Blossom Sect, she wouldn't be this frustrated. That being said, why did Su Yang even go to the northern region in the first place? She pondered. And even though I said that I will punish him, what would be an appropriate punishment for someone like him? Because inner court disciples' punishment differed from outer court disciples when they break the sect rules, and Su Yang is an inner court disciple. She must spend some time to really think about it. Normally, when a disciple of the Profound Blossom Sect break a sect rule, they will be prohibited from dual cultivation for a certain time, and such punishment could last from days to even months. However, since Su Yang is somewhat of a special existence in Liu Lanjai's heart, she couldn't treat him like any other disciple. After many minutes of thinking, Liu Lanjai finally had an idea for what would be Su Yang's punishment. That's right, I can always make him do that. Liu Lanjai immediately returned to Su Yang's living quarters to give him his punishment. Once she arrived at his living quarters, Liu Lanjai had expected Su Yang to come out when she called for him from outside, but alas, it was Ku who appeared before her. He left. Liu Lanjai stared at her with a dumbfounded expression after learning that Su Yang had already left. What happened to resting? It hasn't even been an hour since I left him alone, she thought to herself. Do you know where he went? She asked Ku. Ku shook her head. Is that so? Since Su Yang is not here, her punishment for him will have to wait until he returns. However, Liu Lanjai did not leave immediately and instead began speaking to Ku. You are his servant, right? How does he treat you girls? Did you come from the northern region? She asked her with an inquiring face, seemingly interested in their relationship with him, especially when they appeared out of the blue. Ku looked at Liu Lanjai with an annoyed expression. She had no intentions to play along with her, and decided to put an end to this conversation. Ku suddenly waved her sleeve before Liu Lanjai's face, and a few seconds later, Liu Lanjai fell to the ground with a peaceful expression, seemingly deep asleep. And with another wave of her sleeve, Ku moved the sleeping Liu Lanjai away from the house until she was somewhere far away before she returned to her own room. On that day, many Profound Blossom Sect disciples and sect elders alike were shocked and bewildered to find Liu Lanjai, their sect master, sleeping in the middle of the outer court like some drunkard after a long night of partying. Chapter 189 Lotus City Sect Master. Wake up, sect master. Many sect elders tried to wake Liu Lanjai from her slumber, but alas, no matter how much they shook her body, she remained deep asleep. This caused the sect elders to be fearful. What happened to her? Will she ever wake up? And since they didn't want her to continue sleeping in the opening, they brought her back to her own room and began searching for doctors in hopes to figure out the situation. Meanwhile, after traveling for a few minutes, Su Yang returned to the city where he obtained his first storage ring. Indeed, this old friend he wanted to meet was Wang Xuren, an alchemist apprentice of the Burning Lotus sect. However, once he reached the Burning Lotus auction house, he realized that the entire place was closed. Young man, the Burning Lotus auction house opens only once a year, and this year's auction had already taken place. A kind pedestrian reminded him when he saw him standing before the auction house with a puzzled expression. "Do you know where I can find the people that run this place?" Su Yang asked the pedestrian. "If you mean the disciples of the Burning Lotus sect, then you can find them at the Lotus City near the southern borders," the pedestrian said while pointing to the south. Su Yang nodded. "Thank you for the information." He then retrieved 5 spirit stones from his storage ring and tossed it to the pedestrian before leaving the city. Good heavens! When the pedestrian realized what Su Yang had tossed at him, he nearly died from shock. After all, 1 spirit stone could be sold for many gold coins, which is more than enough to support a normal family for many years, much less 5 spirit stones. Fearful that someone might see the spirit stones and rob him, the pedestrian immediately hid the spirit stones in his pocket and began running back home to share the news with his family. A few minutes after he left the Burning Lotus auction house, Su Yang flew directly to the Lotus City. "Do you know where I can find the Burning Lotus sect?" Su Yang asked one of the guards standing duty outside the Lotus City. "The Burning Lotus sect, who are you, and why are you seeking them?" The guard immediately questioned him. "I am a disciple of the Profound Blossom Sect, and I am here to see an old friend," said Su Yang with a friendly smile. The Profound Blossom Sect. The guard now realized why Su Yang's clothing seemed so familiar. "Do you have your identity slip?" The guard confirmed his identity and said, "This Lotus City is the Burning Lotus Sect, and unless you are with a disciple of the Burning Lotus Sect, you are required to pay 10 copper coins before I can allow you entrance even if you are visiting a disciple. This entire city is the Burning Lotus Sect." Su Yang was slightly surprised. These types of sects are rare even within the 4 divine heavens. Well, to be precise, a city was built around the Burning Lotus Sect. It operates just like any other city but with much more focus on business than any other things, and it's controlled by the Burning Lotus Sect. Is that so? Because Su Yang didn't have any change on him, he handed the guard an entire spirit stone. The guard looked at him with wide eyes and a dumbfounded expression. The entrance fee is 10 coppers. I don't have any change. Please wait for a moment while I get you some change. There's no need. Su Yang couldn't be bothered by a mere spirit stone. The guard's eyes widened even more upon hearing such words. To pay an entrance fee of 10 coppers with a freaking spirit stone, just how rich is this guy? He couldn't help but envy his wealth and aloof behavior. Then here's a special entry pass for you. As long as you have this, you can freely enter the Lotus City without paying in the future, said the guard as he handed Su Yang a golden medallion. Su Yang casually accepted the medallion and entered the Lotus City for the first time. "You can find the Burning Lotus Sect if you continue to walk down this path," the guard said to him once he entered the city. Su Yang nodded and began walking the path. And after mere minutes of walking, Su Yang understood what the guard meant when he said the Lotus City heavily focuses on business, as the only thing in his sight were either shops or restaurants, and one can easily understand why the Burning Lotus Sect is so rich upon entering this city that is decorated with expensive objects and shops. Somewhere in the Lotus City, a group of young ladies and young men could be seen chatting happily in a restaurant. These individuals were all wearing the exact same clothes, red robes with a yellow lotus pattern perfectly sewed on their chest, signifying their identity as disciples of the Burning Lotus Sect. "Junior apprentice disciple Zhang, don't be stingy and tell us, did you have a fortunate encounter with some type of treasure?" One of the disciples there asked the beautiful young lady at the end of the table. "You were only at the 7th level of the elementary spirit realm not long ago, yet you somehow managed to reach the profound spirit realm in just a few weeks, becoming an inner court disciple. I don't believe that you could have achieved such a feat without a fortunate encounter." Once one of them started the topic, the other disciples also began giving their own opinions, slightly pressuring the disciple with the surname Zhang to tell them. Well, Although I didn't find any treasures, I did have a fortunate encounter with a certain individual. The young disciple's surname Zhang vaguely explained. This individual, is it a male or female? The females became even more intrigued. It's a young man, the young lady blushed. Ooh, tell us more about him. How did he affect your cultivation? While the female disciples found the topic to be extremely entertaining, it was the opposite for the males there that fancied this young lady. Well, however, just as the young lady was prepared to talk about a certain guest she had met at the Burning Lotus auction house, her eyes noticed a certain handsome young man walking in the streets. SSS Su Yang. The young lady immediately stood from her seat and ran out of the restaurant to chase after him, dumbfounding everybody there. Thank you for listening to the story on KevinAudio.com Chapter 190 Meeting Zhang Ziu Ying again. Su Yang. Su Yang. Zhang Ziu Ying called for him as she chased after his disappearing figure. Su Yang halted his steps after hearing a familiar sweet voice call his name. When he turned around, he could see a beautiful young lady wearing red robes approaching him with an excited expression on her face. Oh, you are. Su Yang immediately recognized her pretty face, especially her slim and seductive figure. She was Zhang Ziu Ying, a disciple from the Burning Lotus sect, and she had given Su Yang her pure yin essence at the Burning Lotus auction house. Do you remember me, Su Yang? I am Zhang Ziu Ying, right? Su Yang said with a gentle smile on his face. All right. Zhang Ziu Ying was afraid that he'd had forgotten about her at first, but not only did he remember her, but she is also slightly surprised by the warm atmosphere around Su Yang. He seemed more approachable and handsome than before, even a little bit friendly. What are you doing here in the Lotus City? She asked him. If you are looking for a certain place, I can guide you there. Su Yang nodded and said, I actually have some business with the Burning Lotus sect, so if you don't mind guiding me there. I will gladly. Zhang Ziu Ying had already forgotten about her fellow disciples at this point and agreed to take him to the Burning Lotus sect. Junior apprentice Sister Zhang, where are you going? However, before she could leave, her fellow disciples had caught up to her. Is he an acquaintance for yours? One of the disciples asked her. That's right, and I'm sorry for suddenly leaving, but I have something else to do now. When Zhang Ziu Ying said those words, the disciples there all turned to look at Su Yang with examining eyes. The female disciples were dazed by Su Yang's handsome and graceful appearance, and some of them even uncontrollably blushed. But as for the male disciples within that group, they were all looking at Su Yang with unfriendly and envious eyes, especially those that fancied Zhang Ziu Ying, their gaze filled with hatred. You are from the Profound Blossom Sect. One of the male disciples recognized Su Yang's robes. What? That disgusting place filled with whores and horny bastards. Hey, watch your mouth. Zhang Ziu Ying expressed anger when the male disciples looked down on Su Yang. However, Zhang Ziu Ying protecting Su Yang only made the disciples even angrier and heated from jealousy. Junior apprentice Sister Zhang, why would you bother with someone from the Profound Blossom Sect? Aren't you aware of how awful their image is within the eyes of the public? People from that place are a bunch of shameless, sex-craved individuals that are no different than horny beasts. How dare you? Just as Zhang Ziu Ying was about to have an outburst, Su Yang casually wrapped his arms around her neck in an intimate manner, causing Zhang Ziu Ying's body to stiffen from shock. Su Yang, she looked at him with a dazed expression. What do you think you are doing to one of our disciples? Get your dirty hands off of her. Su Yang's actions immediately angered the male disciples, something he was anticipating. It's been some time since we last spoke with each other, so why don't we take this somewhere much more quiet and private, preferably a place like your room? Su Yang spoke in such a soothing voice that even the female disciples standing away from him felt like leading him into their room. Zhang Ying recalled the time she spent with him in the burning lotus auction house and slowly nodded with a bashful expression, her face flushed red. "Bee bastard! How shameless!" "Don't listen to him, junior apprentice Sister Zhang. He's only using you." Their commotion had long attracted the attention of everybody there, but they didn't seem to mind the attraction. "Let's go," said Su Yang as he pulled Zhang Ying away, ignoring these burning lotus sect disciples since the beginning. "Hold it right there." Suddenly, a powerful pressure that belonged to a peak true spirit realm expert assaulted Su Yang. However, because Su Yang was at the peak of the earth spirit realm, he barely noticed the pressure. Senior apprentice brother Cao. The disciples of the burning lotus sect immediately noticed his incoming figure, who wore red clothes with a black lotus on his chest, something that signified a core disciple from the burning lotus sect. When this senior apprentice brother Cao appeared, he stood before Su Yang and spoke with an overbearing expression on his face. "I don't care where you came from, but when you are in our territory, I will not tolerate any lack of respect for my burning lotus sect disciples, especially if they are inner court disciples." Su Yang stopped only for a second to glance at this core disciple with a nonchalant expression before walking around him, completely ignoring his existence. The core disciple trembled in anger when Su Yang ignored him. "How fucking dare you," however. Before the core disciple could even turn his head, a large palm appeared before his face. Pa! Su Yang had sent the core disciple flying across the street with a single slap, shocking everybody there. Senior apprentice brother Cao. The other disciples showed a terrified expression after seeing Su Yang take care of their core disciple with seemingly zero effort. After dealing with the core disciple, Su Yang glanced at the other disciples with the corner of his eye, making them tremble in fear. He pointed to them and made a beckoning gesture to the disciples that were spewing trash just moments ago. "If you don't come over here, I will go over there, and it will only be twice as painful," Su Yang said to them with a calm expression after they remained standing there, clearly frozen from fear. "Since we are at this point, we might as well fight him together," one of the disciples suggested. Thus, powered by their profound spirit realm cultivation base, the disciples began charging at Su Yang, who was at the peak of the earth spirit realm. A few seconds later, 3 loud slaps resounded within the Lotus City and 3 more figures could be seen flying across the street. "A bunch of clowns," Su Yang shook his head. He then said to the dazed Zhang Ying, "Now that the annoyance is gone, let's hurry to the burning lotus sect." "Okay," she replied with a slow nod. Chapter 191 Burning Lotus Sect. Are you going to be okay?" Zhang Ying asked Su Yang with a worried expression on her face after walking for a few minutes. "With what?" Su Yang casually replied. With what you say." Zhang Ying was dumbfounded by his aloof behavior despite just beating a few disciples from the Burning Lotus Sect while in their territory. "Why, you just trashed not only 3 inner court disciples, but also a core disciple from the Burning Lotus Sect whilst in their territory. Yet you still have the guts to walk around the streets in broad daylight. Aren't you afraid that the Burning Lotus Sect will go after you?" Su Yang shrugged his shoulders with an indifferent expression and said, "I will be fine." He was confident that he will be fine even if the entire Burning Lotus Sect were to attack him at once. After a few moments of silence, Zhang Ying asked him, "What brings you to the Burning Lotus Sect?" "I have some business with one of your sect elders." "Could that sect elder be Elder Wang?" Zhang Ying had a good feeling that he was looking for her, especially after what happened at the Burning Lotus auction house. Su Yang nodded and said, "That's right. How has she been faring?" "Elder Wang, she's..." Zhang Ying looked a bit hesitant at this moment, causing Su Yang to raise an eyebrow. "Did something happen to her?" he asked. "No, nothing happened to Elder Wang. It's just that, compared to the Elder Wang during the auction a few weeks ago, she's almost like a completely different person." "Oh, Why don't you elaborate more on it for me? Elder Wang had a breakthrough in her Tao of alchemy some time ago, causing her status within the sect to skyrocket, like a carp leaping through the dragon's gate. Right now, she stands above every other alchemy master within the Burning Lotus sect, and even the sect master holds her in extremely high regard, so you might find some difficulty in reaching her. Is that so? Su Yang was inwardly glad that Wang Xuren had cultivated the immortal-grade technique he gave her, or else his trip here would have been for naught. His purpose for visiting the Burning Lotus sect today is simply because he wanted Wang Xuren to concoct the soul divination pill. Indeed, Su Yang had planned to have Wang Xuren concoct the soul divination pill way before his encounter with Keiyu. His initial plan was to have Wang Xuren concoct the pill since his cultivation base was lacking at that time, even giving her an immortal-grade technique. However, his encounter with Keiyu had completely changed this plan. Because of Keiyu, his cultivation base growth far exceeded his expectations. If he hadn't met Keiyu, he would have never gotten the chance to cultivate with two heavenly spirit realm experts to reach the peak of the earth spirit realm, and would most likely still be lingering in the true spirit realm by now. Of course, he had thoughts to concoct the soul divination pill at the Four Seasons Academy and even have Matriarch Zhu concoct the pill. But alas, because Matriarch Zhu purposefully delayed their arrangement, he decided to return to the eastern region to have Wang Xuren concoct the pill instead. After all, it would be a waste of his efforts if he didn't use Wang Xuren when he'd already prepared for everything. Speaking of Wang Xuren, Su Yang suddenly looked at her and asked, "How have things been faring on your end? Is that Wang dog still bothering you?" When Su Yang mentioned Wang Ming, Wang Xuren's cousin, Zhang Ziu Ying's expression turned bitter. "Although he has stopped asking me to visit his living quarters after Elder Wang spoke with him, I have a feeling that he's planning something. The cold glares he gives me whenever we pass each other in the inner court always sends chills down my back. It scares me." The conversation between them stopped for a moment before Su Yang opened his mouth to speak. "Do you want me to take care of him once and for all?" Zhang Ziu Ying looked at him with wide eyes. Although she really wanted to accept his offer, she didn't want to bother him anymore, especially after everything he's already done for her. "I appreciate your thoughts, but I cannot accept that offer." She reluctantly shook her head, refusing his offer. "You decided to help me despite my forceful actions, and I have already received enough kindness from you. I don't dare to ask for any more, as it will only make me feel more guilty, like I am taking advantage of you." Su Yang laughed after hearing her words. "If I really wanted to reject you at that time, I could have easily flung you away, so don't think of it as forcing yourself upon me. In my eyes, you are only a slightly aggressive and bold girl, and if I am being honest, I like people with such attitudes." Because his first lover was also the bold and aggressive type, Su Yang has come to especially like those that share similar features. Really?" Zhang Ziu Ying immediately blushed upon hearing his words. "But I still can't forgive myself," she sighed a little later. Although Su Yang did not acknowledge her actions as forceful but bold, it didn't change the fact that she was desperate at that moment and forced her own desires upon him, a total stranger at that time, and Zhang Ziu Ying still couldn't forgive herself for her actions that day no matter what he says. Su Yang did not say anything else and left it at that, and the two continued to walk through the Lotus City. After half an hour of walking, they finally reached the Burning Lotus Sect. "Senior Apprentice Sister." "Greetings, Senior Apprentice Sister." The outer court disciples acting as guards at the Burning Lotus Sect greeted Zhang Ziu Ying when they got close enough. "I have a guest with me if you don't mind." As long as Senior Apprentice Sister speak with a sect elder at the administration building, there will be no problems. "Okay." Thus, Su Yang managed to enter the Burning Lotus sect without any hiccups. Sort of Chapter 192. If you take another step, I will cripple your legs. Once they entered the Burning Lotus sect, Zhang Ziying brought Su Yang to register his name in the logbooks as a guest. There's a lot of people here today. Zhang Ziying was surprised after seeing a larger volume of guests here today than what they would normally get. When the sect elder saw Su Yang's clothing, his face made an awkward expression, almost as if he didn't know how to think of this situation. Then he looked at Zhang Ziying and shook his head inwardly. To think one of their own inner court disciples would be shameless enough to bring someone from the Profound Blossom Sect to their sect. The sect elder was greatly upset, because, in his eyes, Zhang Ziying's action was no different than bringing a hooker to their home. No visitors are allowed in the Burning Lotus sect after midnight, so you must leave no later than that, said the sect elder as he handed Su Yang a guest identification slip with a slightly disgusted face. Thank you, elder, Zhang Ziying said, completely unaware that she'd just been classified as a slut by the sect elder. Let's go, Su Yang. I will bring you to see Elder Wang, she said to him once they left the administration building. Su Yang nodded and began following her through the sect. During their short walk, there were many disciples who looked at Su Yang with narrowed eyes, their expressions filled with disgust. It was as if they were looking at a degenerate beast. The Profound Blossom Sect is widely known in the eastern region for their eccentric methods of cultivation, and in the eyes of many normal cultivators, they are no different than sluts using cultivation as an excuse to indulge themselves in sexual activities. However, Su Yang was used to having people look at him with unpleasant expressions, so he was able to ignore them easily, like blowing some dust off his shoulders. I am sorry, Zhang Ziying apologized to Su Yang after realizing the surrounding situation. She felt that she needed to apologize to him because she was also a disciple of the Burning Lotus sect. Why are you the one apologizing? There's no need to pay any heed to them. Just treat them as though they are ants, Su Yang said with a calm face. Okay, she nodded. A few minutes later, when they could see Elder Wang's living quarters at the horizon, Zhang Ziying nearly cried on the scene when she saw just how many people were gathered in front of Elder Wang's house. What's more, most of these people were not disciples of the Burning Lotus sect and wore clothing that represented other sects and families. There was a long line from where they stood all the way to Wang Xuren's house, making the place look like a busy market area. There wasn't this many people when I left just a few hours ago. What happened while I was away? Zhang Ziying exclaimed when she counted at least 200 people in line with her spiritual sense. You didn't hear. Senior Wang just announced that she will be selling Burning Lotus pills with 100% efficiency for a few hours with limited supply, so a lot of people have rushed here to grab their share. The individual last in line explained to her after hearing her shocked cries. There are even more people flocking here as we speak. One of the reasons that caused Wang Xuren's status to skyrocket was because of her ability to concoct Burning Lotus pills with 100% efficiency, something that shook the entire pill market when she first announced it. What should we do, Su Yang? Zhang Ziying asked him. I don't think we will be able to see Elder Wang for today. Even if they manage to see her by today, Wang Xuren might not even have time to listen to them. That was what Zhang Ziying thought. Why should we stand in line? I am not here to buy Burning Lotus pills, Su Yang said. But how else are we going to see her? We can't just skip everyone in the line, and you should stay here for a bit, Su Yang interrupted and began walking away. Zhang Ziying stared at Su Yang with wide eyes as he calmly ignored the long line and approached Wang Xuren's living quarters. The people in line also ignored him at first, but once they realized that he wasn't simply passing by, they immediately began cursing at him. Hey, where do you think you are going? The line is back there. When one person shouted, like a ripple effect, many others began opening their mouth, turning the place chaotic very quickly. Young man, do you know how many people you are offending by skipping the line? I doubt your Profound Blossom Sect will be pleased when they find many different powers knocking at their front door later today. That's right. Your sect will have to bear the consequences of your actions. Despite all these threats being thrown at him, Su Yang continued to walk with a nonchalant expression on his face, almost like he couldn't hear them at all, that was, until a middle-aged man decided to step out of the line to stand before him, blocking his path. That's Senior Gao from the Jade Pill Pavilion. People were quick to recognize this middle-aged man. He was a highly respected alchemy master within the eastern region. "How may I help you?" Su Yang asked him with a friendly smile. "Still acting stupid? I don't care if you are an inner court disciple of the Profound Blossom Sect. If you take another step, I will cripple your legs. Third level true spirit realm, go ahead, try to cripple my legs. I won't move," said Su Yang with narrowed eyes, dumbfounding everybody there. Senior Gao's eyes widened with surprise when Su Yang casually mentioned his cultivation base when he couldn't sense any cultivation from Su Yang. What a dangerous fellow! Senior Gao began sweating under his robes when his eyes met with Su Yang's sharp gaze that was emitting an invisible, yet overbearing pressure. Chapter 193, You have forced my hands, Junior. Senior Gao had an ominous feeling in his heart that was telling him that he should ignore the Profound Blossom Sect's disciple before him, but his pride as a senior was telling him otherwise. After all, what face would he have left if he were to walk away after Su Yang's provocative words like some huge coward? And there are even so many people with powerful and respectful background watching him right now. He'd be a laughing stock if he were to turn away now. "You are a bold one, but as your senior, I will give you one last chance to turn around," said Senior Gao. Su Yang did not say anything and began turning his body. Seeing him turn his body, Senior Gao was relieved. However, when Su Yang did not fully turn around and instead walked around him, Senior Gao's face flushed red in anger, feeling like he'd just been slapped in the face not just once but 2 times consecutively. "You have forced my hands, Junior." Senior Gao immediately turned around and did a sweeping motion with his legs at Su Yang's legs with the full strength of a true spirit realm expert in his kick. And before his kick even landed on Su Yang, Senior Gao could already vision Su Yang's legs brutally snapping in half. However, what happened next shocked not only Senior Gao but every witness there. When Senior Gao kicked Su Yang's legs, a loud bone-snapping noise resounded clearly, but it was not Su Yang who had his legs crippled. In fact, he was still standing there with a calm expression, looking as if nothing happened. "Ah, my leg." Senior Gao could no longer stand and fell on the ground while clutching his right leg that was bent in a weird angle. He had crippled his own leg trying to cripple Su Yang. "My lord, what are his legs made of?" The people gasped in shock when Su Yang didn't even flinch after being kicked by Senior Gao. In their eyes, it looked as though Senior Gao had kicked a pole made of diamonds instead of some human legs. "Hm." Su Yang slowly turned around and acted as though he didn't know what just happened. "What happened to your leg? I think it's bending the wrong way," he asked him in a casual-sounding voice. Senior Gao instantly coughed up a mouthful of blood upon hearing Su Yang's humiliating words, even falling unconscious after a few more seconds of squirming on the floor like some worm. Su Yang shook his head and began walking again. Nobody dared to call him out for skipping the line this time, much less block his path, especially not when they can't comprehend Su Yang's existence. He was only a mere disciple from the Profound Blossom Sect, yet nobody there was able to see his cultivation base, and there are plenty of true spirit realm experts within that line. Once Su Yang reached the front of the line, the first person in line took a step back, allowing him to knock on Wang Xuren's door. "How many burning lotus pill do you wish to buy? The limit one person can buy is 3," said a voice behind the door after hearing Su Yang's knock. The voice did not belong to Wang Xuren and was most likely one of her helpers. "I am not here to buy your burning lotus pill. I am here to speak with Wang Xuren. Get her for me," Su Yang said out loud. The voice did not respond to Su Yang even after many minutes, almost as if the person was purposefully ignoring him. "How many burning lotus pill do you wish to buy? The limit one person can buy is 3. The voice repeated the same line. "I want to buy 3. Su Yang decided to play along. A few moments later, the door opened, and a female disciple appeared to hand him the burning lotus pills. 3 burning lotus pill will be 100 spirit stones. Su Yang ignored the expensive cost and handed the disciple 100 spirit stones. Once the disciple confirmed that it was the right amount, she handed him 3 pill bottles before closing the door again. Su Yang looked at the 3 pills in his grasp with raised eyebrows. The burning lotus pill's true identity was actually profound advancement pills, the recipe he had given Wang Xuren alongside the immortal grade technique. However, that was something he had already expected. What made him raise his eyebrows were the low quality of these profound advancement pills. While profound advancement pills are 100% effective no matter what quality it comes out in, higher quality pills give cultivators fewer impurities than low quality pills. "Excuse me, if you already have your burning lotus pills, can you leave now?" the person behind him asked him with a humble voice. He obviously did not want to offend Su Yang with his tone. However, Su Yang did not even look back, his eyes remaining on the pill bottles in his hand. This is the best she can manage to make despite having an immortal grade technique. What rubbish! Su Yang sighed inwardly, wondering if he had made a mistake by choosing her. If Wang Xuren can't even concoct profound advancement pills by now, he had no faith that she'd be able to successfully concoct a soul divination pill. Once he was done with the profound advancement pills, Su Yang tossed the pill bottles on the ground as if they were trash, bewildering everybody there. The people couldn't believe their eyes. Did he just spend 100 spirit stones just to throw the pills on the floor? If this is not a slap directly to Wang Xuren's face, then they don't know what is. He's crazy, to show such disrespect while standing right before her living quarters. Senior Wang will never sell another pill to him or his sect. "What do you think you are doing?" The female disciple that just handed him the pills stormed out of the house with an angry expression. She had very clearly witnessed Su Yang's actions just now, something she saw as a clear disrespect to not just Wang Xuren, but the entire Burning Lotus sect itself. Chapter 194, entering with force. "How dare you treat my master's burning lotus pills like that? Explain yourself." The female disciple was extremely angry at how Su Yang treated the pills that her master, Wang Xuren, had concocted. Even though she was instructed to ignore people that try to cause trouble there, she simply couldn't ignore Su Yang's actions. "The pills are trash, so I no longer want it." Su Yang gave her a brief explanation, but that only fumed her anger even further. "TT trash. You dare call the only 100% effective burning lotus pills in the world trash? Do you even know anything about pills?" Su Yang shrugged in a nonchalant manner. "I didn't come here for your pills anyway. Go call Wang Xuren for me. I need to speak with her. Tell her that Su Yang is here to see her." "I don't care if you are Su Yang or Su Yin, you will not speak with my master, especially not after what you've done. If you don't leave now, I will call for my sect elders to assist you." In her mind, for Su Yang to be so disrespectful towards the pills created by Wang Xuren, he's clearly didn't come here as a friend. "There happens to be a sect elder in this building, so why don't you go ahead and call for her? I'm sure that she'll gladly assist me." Su Yang pointed to Wang Xuren's building with a smile. The disciple began trembling from anger. She's never met someone as ridiculous as Su Yang before. His graceful appearances are only a disguise for the devil dwelling in his body. "Where are you, Xiao Yan?" The next batch of pills is ready." Wang Xuren's voice suddenly resounded from inside the building. I am coming." After hearing Wang Xuren's voice, her disciple Xiao Yan no longer cared about Su Yang and went back inside the house. However, she had to stop at the door when she noticed that Su Yang was also trying to enter from behind her. "Why, you must really be wishing to die today, huh?" she pointed at him. Su Yang showed a slight smile before taking a step inside the house despite Xiao Yan standing right before him. Where do you think you are going?" When Xiao Yan tried to stop Su Yang from going inside the house, she was shocked to find out that she wasn't able to push him back even a centimeter with her peak profound spirit realm cultivation base, feeling like she was trying to move a mountain with her bare hands instead. "Are you finished yet?" Su Yang chuckled as he watched her struggle trying to push him out of the door. "Burning lotus palm." Xiao Yan suddenly raised her palms to strike Su Yang in the chest with the burning lotus palm, one of their sect's signature techniques. What? Impossible. Xiao Yan was greatly shocked when Su Yang didn't flinch even after taking her burning lotus palm to the chest. "What are you made of, diamonds?" she exclaimed while hugging the hand she used to strike Su Yang. Just like Senior Gao outside, she'd actually injured herself instead of hurting him. After realizing that she wouldn't be able to stop Su Yang, Xiao Yan began screaming loudly, "Master, be careful, there's an intruder trying to harm you." "Intruder, huh? Well, you're not entirely wrong." Su Yang did not stop and continued approaching Wang Xuren's room. "Someone is trying to harm me, ha ha ha." Let's see which ignorant. Wang Xuren suddenly came out of her room laughing. "It's been a while, Wang Xuren." Su Yang greeted her with a smile on his face. "Ha ha ha, ha ha. Huh, eh?" Wang Xuren's laughing slowly came to a stop when she saw Su Yang's handsome face. Why you are?" Although she didn't immediately recognize him, once she finally recalled his face, Wang Xuren began trembling from excitement. "Master!" Wang Xuren did not care that her own disciple was standing only a few feet away from her, and immediately dropped on her knees to kowtow to Su Yang. "I don't recall accepting you as my disciple," Su Yang said to her. "Don't be like that, Su Yang," Wang Xuren said with a bitter smile. Meanwhile, Xiao Yan stared at her master and Su Yang with bewildered eyes, seemingly in disbelief. She couldn't believe that they actually knew each other, not to mention how close their relationship looked. "Anyway, what are you doing here? Do you need resources from me? A pill, perhaps?" Wang Xuren could only think of this one reason as to why he appeared before her. "You are quick to the point, just like before. I like it," Su Yang smiled. "That's right, I wanted you to concoct a pill for me, but—" "Wanted? Why the past tense?" she asked with a puzzled expression. "After seeing the profound advancement pills you concocted, I don't think you will be able to handle what I have in plan for you." What do you mean by that?" Seeing how she really looked puzzled, Su Yang shook his head and said, "I bought a few of your pills just now, and I have to say that after seeing the quality of the pills, I am greatly disappointed. Though." Su Yang suddenly moved his head closer to Wang Xuren and began sniffing her exposed neck. "There are scents of high-quality profound advancement pills on your body. Can you explain that to me?" Wang Xuren blushed when Su Yang got so close to her, and she started laughing after hearing his words. "Oh, that, ha ha ha." She moved her soft lips near his ears and whispered, "You see, I am selling these low-quality pills on purpose. Since both low-quality pills and high-quality pills have 100% chance to promote someone from the elementary spirit realm to the profound spirit realm, I might as well sell the bad ones to others and leave the good ones for my own sect, right? Even my own disciple isn't aware of this, so keep this a secret, okay?" Once Su Yang learned of her tactics, he couldn't help but burst out laughing. He had a feeling that it would be something like this, but to think that Wang Xuren would turn out to be such a shrewd individual. Chapter 195 Burning Dragon Pill. Very well. I will admit that I had underestimated you. Since that's the case, Why don't you show me what you are truly capable of by concocting your best pill? Su Yang said to her. Wang Xuren was confident in her own abilities and nodded. Then I will concoct the highly regarded heaven-grade pill, Burning Dragon Pill, for you. It is a pill that has existed in the Burning Lotus sect ever since its foundations. Master, what about all these people waiting outside? They have been waiting for many hours for the Burning Lotus pill. Xiao Yan asked her with a worried expression. If Wang Xuren were to make them wait any longer, they might start complaining. Even if they are the Burning Lotus sect, they cannot afford to offend so many different factions at once. Tell them that I have important matters to attend and to come back next week. If they can't wait, then they can forget about the Burning Lotus pill. If they are willing to wait, I will increase the amount of Burning Lotus pill for each individual to 5, Wang Xuren said, frightening Xiao Yan. Master, you want me to tell all these people to come back later? Xiao Yan wanted to cry. Even though she was an inner court disciple and Wang Xuren's personal disciple, she didn't have what it takes to tell so many powerful and respected backgrounds to leave after they have been waiting for so long. They'll eat me alive, she mumbled with teary eyes. Wang Xuren shook her head after seeing her pitiful appearance and went out herself. I apologize for the sudden announcement, and I understand that you have all been waiting for the Burning Lotus pill, but something extremely important to me has come up, so I will not be able to continue business today. As an apology for today and also gratitude for your understanding, I will be increasing the limit of Burning Lotus pill each individual can buy from 3 to 5, and I will also give everyone that is here today a 10% discount when you return. Wang Xuren spoke with elegance and grace, like when she worked at the Burning Lotus auction house. Her voice had this effect where people simply can't get mad at her after hearing her clear voice and seeing her honest face. It can't be helped if Senior Wang is busy. I will come back as soon as you are able to sell the Burning Lotus pills again. That's right, and there's no need for Senior Wang to apologize. I'm sure the Cheng family will understand. The Thousand Sword sect also understands. Instead of complaining about the sudden dismissal, these people actually began sympathizing with Wang Xuren despite being upset, as they simply didn't dare to offend her and lose the chance to buy her Burning Lotus pills. Hell, they were even shouting their background out loud, hoping Wang Xuren might remember them. Although the pills may not seem impressive by themselves, its effect that guarantees someone at the elementary spirit realm to break through to the profound spirit realm is extremely helpful to many sects and families, where they have many people at the elementary spirit realm that is finding it difficult to enter the profound spirit realm. These Burning Lotus pill could easily raise the prowess of any family and sect by at least 1 level if they have enough, hence why nobody there dared to offend Wang Xuren, who is the only individual in this world that can concoct such pill at this moment. She's simply too important as an asset for them. Once the area was clear of people, Wang Xuren went back inside the house. It's as simple as that, she said to Xiao Yan, who was clearly in awe of what she just did. She then turned to Su Yang and said, "Let's go to my cauldron room." A few moments later, the two of them entered the cauldron room. But before entering, Wang Xuren said to Xiao Yan, "I won't be seeing any visitors for the next few days." Once they were inside, Wang Xuren asked Su Yang, "The Burning Dragon pill will take a few hours to finish if you don't mind waiting." Su Yang casually sat down at the corner of the room and said, "Take your time." Wang Xuren nodded and no longer delayed the pill. A few seconds later, Wang Xuren retrieved a few dozens of different herbs and medicine from her storage ring and began inspecting them one by one. After half an hour, she began the herb grinding process, which took another 2 entire hours to complete. Although her speed is considerably fast even amongst the peak alchemy masters in the Eastern continent, She was much slower when compared to Zhu Minji, who could easily put all the alchemy masters in this continent to shame with her ridiculous speed. Though, despite her slow speed, Su Yang carefully analyzed every single movement she made to see if she would be able to concoct the soul divination pill with her current abilities. Time slowly passed. 10 hours later, Wang Xuren was drenched in sweat, looking like she just left a pool of water, causing her robes to stick her body and reveal her ripe figure and pure skin. Out of all the girls he's met in this world, Wang Xuren definitely took the top spot as the one with the most bountiful and seductive figure, especially the two melons on her chest. And since Su Yang has fully grasped her ability by now, he spent the remainder of the time to bless his eyes with her beautiful body. I am finished, Wang Xuren spoke in an exhausted voice after spending another hour to create the pill. Once she retrieved the burning dragon pill from the cauldron, she placed it inside a pill bottle and gave it to Su Yang for his assessment. 80% purity, so medium quality at best, huh? Su Yang said a quick moment later. So what do you think? Will I be able to concoct your pill? She asked. Su Yang shook his head. Unfortunately, you are not quite there yet. You have a 50% chance in succeeding right now, but I only have enough ingredients for one try. Then, I will give you lectures until I am confident that you will succeed with a 100% chance. He's going to lecture me. Although Wang Xuren was speechless, the excitement in her eyes was as clear as day. Chapter 196. Just who is this man? By the way, what kind of pill will I be making? Wang Xuren asked him after changing out of her soaked robes. That was when she realized that he didn't tell her yet. I think it would be for the best if you didn't know, Su Yang said, as he didn't want to scare her with a pill she's never heard of before, especially its high grade that would definitely intimidate her. After all, the soul divination pill is something that even alchemy masters above her level wouldn't even dare to attempt. However, since she has an immortal grade technique, one that was tailored for pills such as the soul divination pills, she has a much higher chance of succeeding. Is that so? Although Wang Xuren was confident in her abilities, she couldn't help but feel anxious about this pill he wants her to make. Anyway, let's get started, Su Yang said. I have watched you long enough to see the faults in your technique, so I will be helping you fix those mistakes and even more. And before Wang Xuren can even nod her head, Su Yang continued to speak. I want you to be capable enough to concoct the pill by tomorrow. Tomorrow, Su Yang nodded and said. That's why we should start right away. After saying those words, Su Yang began lecturing Wang Xuren on her technique. He told her the mistakes she made during the pill concoction just now and explained to her how to further improve her technique. And mere minutes after listening to his lectures, Wang Xuren could feel her understanding towards the Tao of alchemy grow. It was almost like she was before the god of alchemy, someone who had the ability to make even the worst alchemy masters into peak alchemy masters with only a few words. It was an unprecedented feeling for her to see her Tao of alchemy grow so fast just from listening to Su Yang speak a few words. At first, she wondered what kind of lectures he'll be giving her. Truly, she didn't expect his lectures to be so simple and straightforward. It was almost as if she was listening to him read her a book on the Tao of alchemy, one that highlighted the most important things whilst filtering out the useless ones. Su Yang continued to lecture Wang Xuren through the hours, and after 4 hours of lecturing her, he decided to see how much she has improved. Go ahead and concoct another burning dragon pill, he said to her. I will have to get more ingredients from the treasury, she said. Su Yang nodded. When Wang Xuren went to the treasury to ask for more ingredients for a burning dragon pill, the sect did not deny her request, as they didn't want to anger her. Because of her profound advancement pills that she disguised as burning lotus pill, the sect master of the burning lotus sect gave her status within the sect that was only slightly lower than his own. And since Wang Xuren refused to share her secrets to concocting the Profound Advancement pill, the Burning Lotus sect has no choice but to treat her with far more respect than they would to any other sect elder. Once Wang Xuren obtained the ingredients, she rushed back to her living quarters where Su Yang waited, where she immediately began concocting the pill mere seconds after her return. When she finished the inspection and grinding, she realized that her speed remained basically the same as before, almost as though there were no improvements. However, she was not disheartened by that fact and continued on with concocting the pill. And in mere minutes after Wang Xuren began concocting the Burning Dragon pill, she finally began realizing the effects Su Yang's lectures had on her Tao of alchemy. Not only was she feeling more at ease with controlling the cauldron temperature, but her energy was also depleting at a much lower rate than before Su Yang's lecture. After 4 mere hours of simple lecture from Su Yang, her Tao of alchemy had advanced by leaps and bounds. If she had studied on her own without his help, it might have taken her months if not years to achieve such growth. Just who is this man? Wang Xuren was greatly shocked in her heart. She knew that Su Yang's young appearance was extremely deceptive to his real abilities, but she still couldn't comprehend his real background. And while he wore the robes of the Profound Blossom Sect, a place that isn't even worth mentioning by many great sects, Su Yang has only shown her things that she couldn't imagine coming from even the biggest and most powerful sects and families within the Eastern continent. How could a mere disciple from the Profound Blossom Sect have immortal-grade techniques that even the wealthiest sects in the Eastern continent could only dream about obtaining? How could a mere disciple from the Profound Blossom Sect be this experienced in the Tao of alchemy? Wang Xuren simply couldn't believe it. Stop thinking about useless things in your head and focus on the cauldron, Su Yang suddenly said to her. Wang Xuren felt a shiver down her spine from Su Yang's sharpness. It was almost as if he could read her mind. The Burning Lotus sect must not, under any circumstances, offend him. Even if he's a single individual, the sect cannot afford to offend someone like him. Wang Xuren swore to herself that she wouldn't offend Su Yang even if he were to kill her family before her very eyes. He was simply that terrifying of an existence in her eyes. After thinking that, Wang Xuren got rid of all the unnecessary thoughts in her head and focused solely on the cauldron before her. 6 hours later, Wang Xuren retrieved the Burning Dragon pill from the cauldron with a bewildered expression. Not only did she manage to concoct the pill in half the time than her previous attempts, but her body was also not as sweaty. Her Tao of alchemy has grown far more than she'd expected. Chapter 197 Midnight Pleasure. What do you think about this pill compared to the previous one? Wang Xuren asked Su Yang as she casually handed him the Burning Dragon pill, something the Burning Lotus sect treats as a priceless treasure. Su Yang glanced at the pill for a few seconds before saying, "A little bit better, but it's still not good enough." "Is that so?" Wang Xuren felt confident in this new pill, but alas, it still didn't manage to get his approval. Although she didn't show it, Wang Xuren really wanted to help him concoct this pill, as this is the only way she could repay him for everything he's given her, even if it's just slightly. "However, I can tell that you have truly comprehended my lecture, so you will reach that point after some more practice," Su Yang continued. "Really? Then what are we waiting for? Let's hurry up and continue on with the lectures." Wang Xuren hadn't felt this motivated to be lectured for many years. It was a refreshing feeling to her. Su Yang nodded and immediately began his next lecture. For the second lecture, since Wang Xuren already knows her own weakness, Su Yang delved a bit deeper into her technique, explaining all of its secrets and how to utilize them properly. Dumbfounded Wang Xuren, who didn't expect there to be so much more about the technique that she thought was already at its limit. The lecture lasted for only 2 hours this time, But what Wang Xuren learned from these 2 hours has far exceeded what she has achieved all her life. After the lecture, Su Yang said to her, "You can continue to practice on your own now. I will be back tomorrow to see your progress, and hopefully I can let you concoct the pill without any worries that you might fail." "Where will you be going? It's almost midnight, so you might get stopped by somebody from the sect if they see you wandering around. If you want, I can arrange a living quarter for you here," Wang Xuren said to him. "I will be fine," he quickly responded. "And I already have a place in mind." "Is that so? Then I won't bother you any more." Su Yang then left Wang Xuren's living quarters, leaving her alone to cultivate her technique even further. A few seconds later, he activated the 9 astral steps and disappeared into the night. Inside her own living quarters, Zhang Ziu Ying laid on her bed with wide eyes, her gaze staring out the window and into the starry sky with a dazed feeling in them. "He really remembered me." She thought about her time with Su Yang inside the burning lotus auction house. When Su Yang left on that day, she was sure that he'd forget about her after some time, especially when taking into consideration his indifferent attitude towards her at that time. However, her imagination turned out to be just an imagination, and Su Yang even became more approachable and friendly than before. Her meeting him again and in such a fashion was more than she could ever ask for, hence why she's still awake from being too excited. "I wonder if I will ever see him again." Just as she mumbled those words, she could hear someone knocking on the door to her house. "Who is it?" Zhang Ziu Ying went to open the doors. Su Yang. When she saw Su Yang standing before her, she was left completely flabbergasted. What are you doing here? What happened to Elder Wang?" she asked him. "I am waiting for her to finish something, so I came here to kill time. Am I not welcomed?" he spoke. "Ridiculous. You are more than welcome here." Zhang Ziu Ying quickly allowed Su Yang inside without a care for the sect rules regarding visitors after midnight. Once Su Yang was inside her house, Zhang Ziu Ying sighed to herself inwardly. "Thankfully, I am now an inner court disciple and have a house to myself." She cannot imagine what would happen if her old roommates were here to see her bring another man into her house, and even so late into the night. "Anyway, what brings you here at this time?" Zhang Ziu Ying asked him, her heart beating slightly faster than normal, almost like she was expecting something. "Do you recall what I said to you this morning?" he said with a smile on his face. This morning." Zhang Ziu Ying obviously remembers, but she thought that he said such words only to provoke those disciples and did not expect him to really mean it. "Why, you weren't joking?" she asked him with her heart pounding as loud as war drums. "What, you thought I was only joking?" Zhang Ziu Ying slowly nodded. Su Yang smiled and began approaching her. "Do you think I am still joking now?" he whispered in her ears once he pulled her into his embrace. Zhang Ziu Ying shook her and mumbled with a sheepish voice, "I will be in your care once again." A few moments later, once Zhang Ziu Ying and Su Yang were inside the bedroom, they both removed their clothes and began feeling the warmth from each other's body. However, unlike their first time together at the burning Lotus Action House that was very one-sided, Su Yang willingly embraced Zhang Ziu Ying with passion this time, treating her as though she was one of his women. "Ah, yes." Zhang Ziu Ying was overwhelmed with pure joy and pleasure as she felt Su Yang's thick rod enter her body once again. The feeling of his thick rod that was as hard as steel, the burning sensation of pleasure that caused her body to tremble with delight, and the unique scent that emitted from Su Yang's body, all of these caused Zhang Ziu Ying to reminiscence the time they spent inside that dimly lit room at the burning Lotus Auction House. This feeling, I have been longing for this ever since that day. Zhang Ziu Ying thought to herself as she moaned her heart out. Chapter 198. Midnight. A Saul. Somewhere inside a building within the burning Lotus sect, a young man was destroying the furniture in his room whilst shouting angrily, "That fucking bitch! Not only did she snitch on me to Auntie, causing her to scold me endlessly, but she also dares to act so intimate with another man from the Profound Blossom Sect. This angry individual was Wang Ming, Wang Shuren's cousin. When his disgraceful behaviors were exposed to Wang Shuren by Xianxia Ying with the help of Su Yang, such as how he'd abuse his status within the sect by pressuring female disciple without any backing to sleep with him, Wang Shuren immediately reported back to the Wang family for his punishment. And once the Wang family learned of his scandalous deeds, they immediately called him back to the family to punish him by beating him, until he could not even sleep due to the pain all over his body. It's all because of that slut that all of my face and credibility are gone. Now everyone in the family will see me as some sort of a rapist. Wang Ming's eyes turned red from rage. After spending a few minutes to thrash the room and calming down a bit, Wang Ming suddenly had a thought appeared in his mind. Since I am already branded as a rapist, I might as well become one. And because it was you who forced me into this corner, I will come to you first, Xianxia Ying. His heart burned with the thought of revenge, and the first one to appear in his mind was Xianxia Ying, the one who caused him to be in this situation. Wang Ming then retrieved an appearance-reforming pill and swallowed it, transforming his face into that some stranger. As for his clothing, because he was still within the Burning Lotus sect, and it is past midnight, he couldn't risk walking around with clothes that did not belong to the sect, increasing the chances of him being caught. Once he finished planning for his revenge, Wang Ming left his living quarters and began heading towards Xianxia Ying's living quarters. Inside his mind, he was thinking about all the things he'd do to Xianxia Ying once she was in his hands. Luckily for me, she's now an inner court disciple, so she lives alone. He inwardly snickered. I will make her regret snitching on me, and once I have my fun with her, I will erase all evidence that could put me at risk, including Xianxia Ying herself. Under the starry sky, while most disciples were asleep or cultivating in their room, Wang Ming made his way to Xianxia Ying's living quarters with his heart burning with lustful desires and his mind filled with revenge. He simply couldn't wait to start torturing Xianxia Ying. Sometime later, once Wang Ming could see Xianxia Ying's living quarters, his grin grew into a wide smile that was filled with evil intent. The lights are off. Is she asleep? Wang Ming hoped that she was actually asleep and not away from home, as he'd have to find another female disciple to release his anger on. However, just as Wang Ming began approaching Xianxia Ying's house, a voice filled with indifference resounded in his ears. After sitting here for so long, I was beginning to wonder if you would even show up. Who's there? Wang Ming felt a burning sensation in his heart when he heard the voice appear out of the blue and immediately began looking around with a panicked face. A figure slowly appeared before him a few seconds later. Why you are? Wang Ming's heart shook when Su Yang's face appeared before him. How could he still be here when it's already past midnight? But most importantly, why is he here right now? Could he have known about his plans to assault Xianxia Ying tonight? That's absurd. In Wang Ming's heart, unless he had time traveled from the future, there was no possible way that Su Yang could have known about his plans when he just thought of it. W, who are you? A and W, what are you doing here? Guests are not allowed in here past midnight. Wang Ming began acting as if he was just an ordinary disciple. Still, with a calm expression, Su Yang spoke. Did you really think that I would not notice you stalking us ever since the beginning? Even if you hide your presence, your obnoxious stares are as plain as day. W, what are you talking about? Wang Ming continued to act ignorant, but there were already clear signs of heavy sweating on his robes. Su Yang shook his head inwardly at Wang Ming's bad acting. He had noticed Wang Ming following them, mostly Xianxia Ying, before their little commotion with the 3 inner court and core disciples. And one of the reasons why he decided to meet Xianxia Ying at this time was because he had expected something like this would happen, and he wanted to make sure she was safe. But even if Wang Ming did not show up tonight, he would have still ensured that Wang Ming would not be able to exact his revenge after he left. We both know why you are here right now, but unfortunately for you, it might not go as planned. Don't you also think so, Wang Ming? Wang Ming could be seen trembling visibly by now. He knew very well what Su Yang was capable of because he was also there to witness the one-sided beatdown at the Lotus City. Wait a moment. Let's talk about this. What do you want from me? I will do anything. Knowing that he won't be able to run away from him, Wang Ming dropped to the floor and began kowtowing for his mercy. There's nothing you have that I want. Even if you do, I wouldn't touch anything that you have already touched even with a 10-foot stick. Su Yang said with narrowed eyes, his voice so cold that it nearly froze Wang Ming's heart when he heard it. Chapter 199 Midnight Torture. Why are you doing this? Is it because of her, Zhang Ziying? Just what is she to you? Wang Ming cried with teary eyes and a runny nose. Su Yang looked at his pitiful expression without any emotions on his face, and he spoke with a cold voice. You know what I hate more than people using force upon others? People who use their status to pressure those who do not have the means to defend themselves, people like you. Su Yang began approaching the trembling Wang Ming with slow steps. Even if Zhang Ziying didn't ask, I would have gotten rid of you so that there will be fewer victims in this world. Wang Ming's complexion was as pale as sheets right now, looking like there was no blood in his system and almost like a ghoul. Please, I beg of you, don't kill me. Wang Ming's face was covered in snot and tears, looking like he'd just witnessed his lover die in his arms. His legs were moving unconsciously, taking a step back whenever Su Yang took a step forward. Kill you. Don't worry, I won't kill you, Su Yang said with a mysterious smile. Wang Ming regained some light in his eyes after hearing words, feeling a bit more hopeful, but such a feeling only lasted for a few seconds until Su Yang continued speaking. Death is too light of a punishment for someone like you, so I will have you experience so much pain that you'd be begging for me to kill you. Wait, no, please. Wang Ming's face expressed fear beyond anything he's experienced. Help. Help me, there's an intruder trying to kill me. Wang Ming suddenly started screaming at the top of his lungs. If he can't stop Su Yang alone, then he will alert the entire sect and have them deal with him for him. Somebody, help, there's an intruder. He's a spy trying to bring harm to the burning Lotus sect. Wang Ming continued to scream for a few moments, but even after many minutes of screaming, nobody arrived to help him, not even a shadow. What's going on? Why isn't there anybody coming? Wang Ming looked around with a bewildered expression. Surely someone must have heard his voice even if they are deep asleep, especially the sect elders, yet why hasn't anyone arrived after so long? What's wrong? Maybe you aren't screaming loud enough, so why don't you keep on screaming for a little longer? Su Yang said to him with a mocking smile on his calm expression, almost like he was entertained from watching Wang Ming scream in disarray. What have you done? This is your doing, isn't it? Who are you, really? Wang Ming spoke in a hoarse voice that was caused by all that screaming. I figured that you'd do something like this, so I created a formation around this place beforehand, one that prevents any noises from getting out no matter how loud you scream. You should thank me, as you won't have to worry about any interference once you start screaming like a pig. No. Wang Ming couldn't see a handsome young man when looking at Su Yang, and could only see a demonic being standing there with his own life in Su Yang's hands. Su Yang no longer felt like delaying this any longer and began approaching Wang Ming once again, and he spoke with each step taken. Trapped, helpless, fear, despair, hopelessness, pain, hatred, powerless. These are all the feelings that you have caused your victims, and karma is a bitch, especially when I am the one serving it. Wang Ming had no intent on fighting Su Yang, and immediately turned around to run despite knowing very well that he would not be able to escape Su Yang's grasp. Why are you running? Whoosh. Bloodlust suddenly appeared from Su Yang as he retrieved his sword, and not even a second later, Su Yang brandished his sword, sending a stream of sword light towards the running Wang Ming. And because it was behind him, Wang Ming was completely oblivious to the fact that he was being chased down by Su Yang's sword attack. An instant later, the sword light created by Su Yang caught up to Wang Ming, and like cutting two branches off a tree with a sword, it directly sliced through Wang Ming's legs, completely crippling his ability to stand, much less run. Suddenly having his legs cut off and without the ability to run anymore, Wang Ming fell on his face and began screaming in pain, his hoarse voice filled with agony. Once Wang Ming fell on the floor, Su Yang casually walked up to him and raised the sword in his hand high into the air. Wait. Wang Ming tried to resist the pain that was all over his bottom half to beg for mercy. No, Su Yang said coldly with the sword in his hand, already heading cleaving down at Wang Ming. Pap! Wang Ming suddenly felt the two balls hanging from his lower body explode into a bloody mess. And that percented that. The blood-curdling scream that came out of Wang Ming a second later did not even resemble any sound made by a human, and sounded more like a pig's scream. And because of the constant pain in his body, Wang Ming fell unconscious only to wake up a few seconds later from the intense pain that kept jolting his inner body, and such a cycle would keep repeating itself for some time. And since Su Yang did not want Wang Ming to die from losing too much blood, he would force high-quality restoration pills down Wang Ming's throat to keep his body regenerating blood, keeping him barely alive. Please, just kill me already. Wang Ming was so exhausted from all that screaming that he didn't even have the strength to cry anymore. And just like Su Yang had said before all this, Wang Ming began begging to be killed instead. You may be done, but I am not finished with you. The night is still very young, so let's enjoy this while it lasts. Su Yang spoke with an indifferent expression and narrowed eyes on his handsome face, his cold glares piercing directly into Wang Ming's soul that was already on the verge of collapsing. My lord, please have mercy. Wang Ming fell unconscious again from shock only to wake up again a few seconds later, because Su Yang had gently kicked him in his open wound. Chapter 200 Wang Ming's death under the starry sky, and concealed by a soundproof formation. Su Yang tortured Wang Ming for 2 hours without rest, treating him as though he was a prison in hell. Su Yang simply had no sympathy for someone like Wang Ming, people who disregard others' feelings for their own lustful pleasure. This is getting boring, said Su Yang, who didn't even blink from hearing Wang Ming's blood-curdling screams and seeing his agonizing expressions. Wang Ming had long lost his voice from screaming too much. His eyes were white without pupils, his body was twitching like a bug after being squashed, and there was even foam coming out his mouth. And despite his heart still beating, Wang Ming might as well be dead in his current state. However, what's caused Wang Ming the most pain in all of this was how Su Yang did not stop after destroying his balls and went as far as to slice off his rod, completely destroying his manhood, even laughing at him for its small size afterward. Su Yang raised an eyebrow when he noticed that Wang Ming's heart had stopped beating a few moments later. Aya. Even though I had said that I wouldn't kill you, what a shame. Su Yang looked at Wang Ming's lifeless body without a shred of emotion in his eyes. It was almost as if he wasn't seeing a human from Wang Ming's body, but just a pile of trash instead. A few seconds later, Su Yang slightly waved his sleeves, and a small ball of alchemy flame was tossed onto Wang Ming's body, quickly engulfing his corpse. Not even a few moments later, the only thing that remained of Wang Ming was the ashes of his body. Once Wang Ming's existence was completely erased from this world, Su Yang retrieved the concealing formation and casually walked back to Zhang Ziying's house, looking as though the last few hours did not really occur. Su Yang, Zhang Ziying, who had been asleep this whole time, slowly opened her eyes when Su Yang entered the room. I had trouble sleeping, so I went out for a walk, he said with a gentle voice. Zhang Ziying did not notice him leaving the room at all. It's a bit dangerous for you to wander around the sect at such a time. According to the sect rules, you aren't supposed to be here right now. After all, she warned him. Nobody noticed me, so I will be fine. Su Yang said as he entered the bed that Zhang Ziying was sleeping in, not even mentioning about Wang Ming's attempt to assault her tonight. Su Yang did not erase Wang Ming because he wanted to please Zhang Ziying, nor did he expect a reward from her for his deeds. He did it because he genuinely despised people like him and wanted him gone, so in his mind, there was no need for him to tell Zhang Ziying about Wang Ming at all, as she will find out sooner or later anyway. A few seconds later, once he was under the sheets, Su Yang cuddled Zhang Ziying's body, who was completely naked underneath, slowly falling asleep from each other's warmth. The next morning, Su Yang left Zhang Ziying's living quarters early in the morning and returned to Wang Xuren's room to see how much she's progressed overnight. I'm actually surprised that you didn't get caught wandering around the sect after midnight. Where did you go? Did you leave the sect? Wang Xuren said to him when she didn't hear any commotion last night, something she was expecting. It's a secret, Su Yang responded with a smile. Anyway, show me your progress. Wang Xuren retrieved 2 bottles upon hearing his words, each pill bottle containing a burning dragon pill. Not bad considering that you only had 1 night. Su Yang nodded slightly after inspecting the pills. However, you are still far from what I have in mind. Wang Xuren was speechless. Just how much does her Tao of alchemy have to grow before she could even attempt to concoct the pill? Could the pill that he wanted her to concoct be an immortal-grade pill? Is that why he didn't want to disclose details of the pill to her? Because it would cause her to lose spirit. Don't worry, I will stay here to lecture you until you reach that point, which shouldn't be too far in the future. Su Yang continued speaking. How long do you think it will take? Wang Xuren couldn't help but ask. Before the sun descends, he responded with a confident smile. That fast? Wang Xuren was dumbfounded. A few minutes later, once Wang Xuren changed out of her dirty robes, Su Yang began lecturing her again. However, Su Yang did not just stand there and speak this time, and was actually teaching her as she concocted the pills, allowing her to grasp the technique at a much quicker pace than before. Every mistake she made, Su Yang would instantly notice it and point it out for her to fix. And after being taught by Su Yang for only a few hours, Wang Xuren couldn't help but feel inferior as a fellow teacher. Although Su Yang seemed to be casually lecturing her, there was a difference like heaven and earth between the two of them in terms of their ability to affect whoever they're teaching, and it made Wang Xuren feel ashamed to be beside him as a fellow teacher. She knew that no matter how much time she spends as a teacher, that she will never be able to replicate what Su Yang was doing to her own disciples. It's hard to believe your young appearance when you are this masterful in so many things. I wouldn't be surprised if you turn out to be some ancient expert in disguise. She said to him with a curious expression. Su Yang showed a mysterious at her words and said, You'd have to be a fool to depend on one's appearance in the world of cultivation, as that's one of the biggest misconceptions in the cultivation world. Can I take those words as a confirmation to my own just now that you are actually an old man in disguise? Wang Xuren looked at him with narrowed eyes. Take what you want from my words, but this body of mine is without a doubt only 16 years old. Huh. You are only 16 years old, backslash. Wang Xuren looked at him with wide eyes and her jaws on the floor, her expression filled with disbelief and shock, almost like she was looking at a ghost.